You're hilarious.
Go to bed.
Welcome in, everyone, to a very impromptu episode of the Thy&Smi podcast. Ironically enough, Thy and Smi are both here for the first time in God knows how long. But we're also, of course, joined, not as always, but most of the time at this point, Mr. Paulski from the Bearski film. How you doing, Paul?
Good, man. How are you guys doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Living.
Yeah,
We're
thanks for
living.
having me on with you again. I always appreciate it. I always like joining you and joining Nick and talking some football. So yeah, I'm really happy that both you guys are on tonight. So we
course.
can, we can chat a little bit on a Saturday night, Super Bowl Eve. Get some Bears talk, get some Super Bowl talk out of the way, and scratch
yeah.
that itch.
Yeah, I mean, topic at hand. Obviously, the Bears, unfortunately, this past week at this point, have dealt with a lot of loss, right? They lost their owner, the daughter of George Halas, Virginia McCaskey, which is very, very unfortunate. And then earlier today, Bears reported, or it was confirmed, I guess, Dick Jauron also passed away. I think Cliff had a good comment to start things off regarding Mr. Jauron. No, this wasn't it. I can't find it. I don't know if it would just disappear on me or not, but I believe it said that he passed away from cancer, which is just terrible. But yeah, I was telling Paul backstage, Nick, I don't know if you're the same way. Dick Jauron predates my Bears fandom, which is unfortunate. I remember my dad made a comment to me about how good of a coach he was, and all I can tell you is that I think his first year was the 2001 season. I think Lovie Smith replaced him, right?
I believe he was
So-
here 99 to 2003.
Right, so Lovey was the coach from 04 to whenever he had that 10-win season and was canned. So Dick Jauron, responsible, was the coach for the 2001 season, which was a very, very magical season for the Chicago Bears. They had that run where they had back-to-back game-winning return interceptions for a touchdown by Mike Brown. Another comment in chat was regarding, right here, Ted Washington, the Keith trailer. So again, predates us, but these are still moments that me as a fan I'm aware of, and it would have been really, really nice to experience that 2001 team, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
life goes on. Any other comments that you have, or you guys have, regarding the passing of Dick Jauron, Virginia McCaskey?
No, but like it's kind of weird to like put it in perspective that she's 102 years old. That she was here to see World War, what was it, World War II? She was here before highways. I mean, that's insane to be around for that much football and that long of a life. So I mean, this sucks, rip, but life goes on. And maybe the Bears will finally sell.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm with you, Carl. Dick Jauron does predate my football experience as well. So, I don't have any experiences about him to share or anything like that. And I'm not going to pretend to, but yeah, it's always unfortunate when anybody that made any kind of impact on this organization passes. And same thing with Virginia, unfortunately she left us, but 102 years old, had a nice, good life. And I was thinking about this, there's a lot of stuff that's like, when it comes to a losing season, the last game of that season, me and David have gone back and forth on this because he's very analytical and I'm a little bit more, I don't know, just, I guess, boneheaded about it, where like
You're a filthy casual?
Well,
Is that what you're
so,
trying to say?
in the John Fox era, we had a 3-win season. And I was going to the last game of the season, and ESPN 1000 was like, "Oh, we should lose this, get a better draft pick, this and that." And I'm like, "I'm going to the game. I can't root for a loss, even if it's a 3-win season." Only time I got on board was during the Justin Fields year, where we had the chance to get the number 1 overall pick. I go, okay, now it's worth it. I get it. Let's lose out. But like, other than that, I'm like a play to win the game type of guy. And even this year, it's like, as little as that Green Bay Packers win did for us statistically, like looking back at it, whether you know what I mean, it did still have a lot of impact on those guys mentally. The whole locker room, like, you needed a win, man. You really needed a win. And to just end the season and go into the off season on a high note, I think actually is beneficial and meant something. And now down the line, it looks like that game has even more impact, being the last game that Virginia got to see against the Packers, being a win. So, I think I think that had a lot of meaning too. And the one thing I want to say though is, I'm full respect. It's sad when anybody it passes away and things like that, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't hear person after person after person after person saying, what, just once she dies, blah, 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 this and that. Like, everybody's been waiting for this. And like, it's kind of funny for me to see like everybody being, you know, upset about it, because I think that's just a, a facade put on that, you just have to be respectful just due to the situation. But I think this does create an interesting scenario for the Bears moving forward and for George moving forward as well. So now, like, I know David always says this, oh, when they're hiring coaches, they wheel this lady into the room and this and that. Like, we don't know that. He just says that. But like, now that whole narrative is just gone, period. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things work moving forward, I think, for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious as to how they handle the team. Obviously, it sounds like if they were to finally get a shovel in the ground, as Kevin Warren loves to say, and you actually build the stadium, the value of the team is going to double. Is them selling after Virginia's death something that they can use as tax fraud to kind of fraud away from inheritance tax? I simply just don't know that answer. It's a bit, it doesn't matter in the sense that they still are trying to produce a product that results in winning football games. So it'll be interesting. I just don't know how much of an impact it's going to have at the end of the day.
I know Dan from BCP goes on and on and on about this inheritance tax. I'm not even sure if legally the inheritance tax exists in Illinois. I think a different form of it does. But I mean, we're talking about billionaires. If you don't think billionaires know how to stay billionaires, then you're a little bit lost. The NFL's also made it easier for these teams to stay in-house and things like that. I mean, I'm not a lawyer by any means. There's so many different things you could do to sit there and avoid, paying money for something like that. Like, they don't have to sell by any means. By any means.
No, absolutely. I mean, the obvious direct comparison to that situation would be with what happened to the Redskins, right? They acquired new ownership. As soon as that new ownership was brought in, seemingly the Redskins were amazing, and obviously it's because they've got the offensive rookie of the year, whatever the case is. But I don't know. Like I said, at the end of the day, I don't think it'll change anything outside of maybe they'll definitely use it as like a narrative to kind of get these guys to play as hard as they can, right? I think on Thursday I made a comment. I don't know if it was live or not, but when a player passes away on the team, they usually have that little black dot on the back of their helmet with the white initials. They're not just going to do that for Virginia. I was thinking that maybe on the other armband they'll add her acronym, so it would be VHM, Virginia Hallis McCaskey, instead of the GSH on the left arm. So it's going to be a big thing. It's going to be a huge storyline. I just don't know how much of a difference it's going to make, and I obviously want the Bears to win, but I don't know if we're in that case. Nick, do you have any more follow-up comments, or do we want to move on to a little bit more football talk?
I don't know if I really necessarily have any comments. I mean, it's sad, and everybody this whole season was, saying for them to sell the team, sell the team, sell the team. I think it would benefit them to just sell the team because they're not football people. I think that's been frankly very obvious that they're not. I think they're the only I think they're the only owners in the NFL that their income is solely because of their football team. Everybody else has a different stream of income. So that's probably why they wouldn't sell, but I think it would benefit them in the long run. They're not football guys. George McCaskey has said it time and time again that they're not. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents on it.
And Nick, can I kind of add to that a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know if them being football people really matters or not. I think they're not.
Yeah,
I think they're not business people, and I think that's really what matters. Because at the end of the day, you sell the team, you're not going to get a football guy in here to come in here and buy it. You're just going to get somebody like Elon Musk, somebody out there who's just a businessman who knows how to do business cutthroat. And I think part of it being tied into the family has made them make some business decisions that weren't the best for business. And so, I'm not sure if it matters so much about how big of football people they are, because I don't think a lot of owners in general are football people. So,
I think that there's a lot of people that think they're football people and they meddle a little too much. I think that would be an issue, but I'd like to see somebody come in and kind of say, hey, here, this is your guys' thing to do. I'm not going to meddle. I want you guys to handle it. And George kind of meddles a little bit, I would say.
And the caveat to that, Nick, is that Kevin Warren, I believe, no, he's definitely not the first team president, right? Like, what was the title that the former Ted Phillips had?
Wasn't he like vice
Team president.
Was he team president?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Let me double check on that.
But there's something different about Kevin Warren, and I don't know if it's like an elevated title. You gotta mute when you use that keyboard, bro.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just mute when you're not talking, for sure.
Yeah, that was bad. But I feel like Kevin Warren is a little bit more of like a public figure barrier between the general manager and ownership. And I feel like that position and the role that Kevin Warren is playing ultimately seems to be helping. I guess this is a question I have for you guys and for the chat. Do you think that it would be obvious to say that the writing was on the wall regarding Virginia strictly due to her age, right? She was over 100 years old. I think 102 years old. But do you think that George McCaskey and anyone else involved in this situation for the Bears going into this offseason took into consideration that Virginia's time was limited? Because this was a really different approach that the Bears took at this offseason, in my opinion, to the way that they're adding a rookie head coach on what is predicted to be a $13 million annual salary, and the other coaches that they're bringing in that I'm sure are getting paid handsomely. I mean, do you think that this, looming in the future, which obviously wasn't that far away, now, do you think that that weighed into what was happening as far as them making these decisions?
I think that Virginia was friggin' pissed and wanted to win. I don't know if you guys ever remember George McCaskey saying that a few years back.
That felt like what, like a decade ago, like when he first.
I think
took
so,
over,
something like that. Yeah,
he really tried to
pissed.
set the tempo. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if it had anything to do with it per se. I know that I don't want to see if she was involved at all because obviously she's 100 years old. I was listening to Brad Biggs on ESPN, the 670 The Score, and he was saying that up until she was 90-ish, she would still come in on a daily basis, kind of seeing how things are being run, things are being operated, and she still showed up now periodically. But I don't think her dying had anything to do with them finally getting Ben Johnson as the head coach and finally opening up the checkbook. I don't think it had anything to do with that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Nick. I think it's all Caleb Williams.
Some very great advice there from Cliff Victoria about how to handle ourselves on camera. Yeah, definitely no jerking it on camera, guys.
But what if you were straight up jorking it? No, but for real, Paul, would you like to answer this question? What could Muggsy have done? We all know, Dan Shorty brought to light. He was the one to actually report this news for the first time ever. He said that Muggs Hallis's organs were replaced with sawdust.
And Carl, I know you saw my comment on BCP when they were saying, "Hey, Virginia McCaskey passed." I go, "What? Let's bring out the sawdust." Time for round two. So yeah, what could he have done? I don't know, man. Like, I've always been the one that
you don't have to answer this, man.
Listen, I don't. I've never been the one that blamed ownership. Like, I've always been the one that, like, as unpopular as it is, I've stuck up for ownership because at the end of the day, I look at things. Yeah, right. Everybody, hands in the air. Everybody. All right, back to jerking it. No. So I've always been the one that kind of stuck up for ownership, as unpopular as it was, because in a microcosm, I would always ask, well, what could I have done better? Dude, when we hired Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy, and they got GM of the year and coach of the year, everything was fine. It wasn't until 3 years later that we're trying to nail these guys to a cross for hiring Matt Nagy. Like, it's interesting. So, dude, I don't know. It's the NFL. Like, there's only one winner every year, and it seems to be Patrick Mahomes every year now. So I really, truly think it boils down to the talent on the field more than anything. And, like, I know me and David have gone over this, like, percentage of blame. I always find small percentage to be at the ownership level. And, yeah, could you have done things differently? Sure. Would you have had a different result? I'm not sure. But yeah, it just is what it is. So I don't know. I don't think it. I never put too much blame on that. And then during the winning seasons, I always used to say like, hey, are we crediting Virginia McCaskey and George McCaskey right now? I don't hear anybody doing that. I don't hear anybody doing that during any time when we're doing good. It's only during the bad, awful seasons that we're pointing fingers up at the top. So
I think you need to give them credit right now for what they've done this offseason. I know that we're
I was about to say that.
offseason champs, but I mean, I have seen a lot of people be giving them credit. A lot of people have not saying, I don't want to say that they're saying sorry for being so critical, but it's like, attaboy, good job. Now keep doing what you're doing. You know, it's
Right.
finally like you're
And it's
playing
not-
modern football now.
And it's not an Albert Hainsworth you won the offseason because you gave an undeserving player a massive contract. We're talking about building a fantastic coaching staff and doing so very swiftly. Ben Johnson loses a playoff game on Saturday night. He's your head coach Monday afternoon. Like, record turnaround, the way that they handled it, everything seemed really good.
And he called a great game. He called a great game.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, you know, the deployment plan from the Chicago Bears, you know, point of view, right? Saturday night, a guy who you thought would be coaching tomorrow in real life time, the Super Bowl, is now readily available. Well, we haven't satisfied the Rooney Rule. Let's get Eddie George in here. We'll tell Eddie George that, you know, his Ohio State running backs are on the draft board so he can leak that information later on. And in return, we satisfy the Rooney Rule and hire Ben Johnson, again, less than 48 hours after he had been, you know, become available. And I believe I heard, I watched the Swift Sports Network video where Rick Smith essentially came to Ben Johnson on Sunday and, you know, deployed all these plans as well. Like, just head to toe, it feels so much different, you know, strictly regarding the coaching staff.
I mean, I think we have to give him a round of applause for even getting Eric Bieniemy as a running backs coach. I mean, I know that he wasn't very, you know, he's not revered as a head coach around the league. That was obvious that he didn't get a job, and you know, he went back to USC, and they had a, I think his agent came out and said that they have a mutual,
UCLA
separation.
Eric Bieniemy hired by UCLA. I can't remember if it was the head coach or what it was.
Assistant head coach.
He got fired.
Yeah, he did 100%, but his agency came out and said, oh, it was a mutual parting of ways. But regardless of that, he's a very smart offensive mind, and to get him as a positions coach speaks a lot to who Ben Johnson is as a coach. That speaks a lot.
definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's surrounding himself with experience because he knows that
at all levels.
That's the only thing he doesn't have is experience. He obviously was a highly coveted play caller, right? We have a former head coach as our defensive coordinator, so he essentially gets to he gets to run the defense. You get to have your leadership with Eric Bieniemy, and I think that Richard Hightower, your special teams coordinator, is an extremely underrated, retention piece because he has top to bottom experience with all the players in the building. Aside from this new wave of rookies and free agents, right? Retaining him was great. I love the idea of Darren Rizzi, but at the end of the day, Richard Hightower fixed Cairo Santos when the entire world labeled him as a bust because he had a kick blocked by a really good special teams coordinator himself, Rich Bisaccia, right? So I'll digress there, but again, very, very happy with the way that things are trending, and I would hope to say that Virginia McCaskey is proud of this.
I think she is after seeing the Packers win. So
yeah, that was her last Bears moment.
And, I've had to deal with comments from J2K saying, here's the backpedaling, here it starts. And, I'm not going to backpedal. I will admit thank you, Bob. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I know Carl will go over the chat and give out some shout outs in a minute, but I wanted Vrabel. That was my preferred choice, right? He goes off to the Patriots. I'm still not going to sit here and say, oh, I was wrong, because, time will tell, right? In 2-3 years, maybe I'll sit there and say, yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong to want him. But we don't know yet. What I will say right away is I don't think Vrabel could have put together as good of a staff as Ben Johnson has. And that has surprised me. So, I'll give Ben Johnson credit when credit's due. He's put together an impressive group of coaches right now, and it's looking very promising on that end.
Now, Paul,
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels. I don't think I'd be alive to talk to you folks tonight.
I would not be.
Thank you, Mike Vrabel, for that. Now, flip side though, there is a certain Thomas Brown who is a member of the Patriots staff. Yeah, imagine him being retained as your offensive coordinator going into next year. How terrifying would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy they brought in Declan. I know he doesn't have really any play calling experience, but he's one of the up and coming coaches. Coach with Sean Payton. That says a lot. That's a lot of experience that he got when he was coaching in New Orleans those years. And now being with them again in Denver. I mean, you're gonna bring. That's the biggest thing with him is that he's bringing in so many different ideas. He's bringing in different coaching trees. He's not sticking to one coaching tree like a lot of other teams have done, and a lot of our past coaches have done. He's doing something different, and it's nice to see. It's refreshing.
Well, it's
And
also
let me clear out the low hanging fruit, right? A lot of people will say, why is Eric Bieniemy underneath Declan Doyle and having Declan Doyle call plays? Because he's not. Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator by trade. Declan Doyle is the offensive coordinator by name. Declan Doyle is essentially a henchman. He's younger than any of us on this panel currently. Maybe Nick. I don't know about Nick. He might be exactly Nick's age. And he's going to be grinding tape. That's his job. He's going to be kind of the extension of Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson has added responsibilities and doesn't just get to just be an offensive play caller, right? So, again, masterful job of them, assembling the staff. Just kudos to them.
yeah, Declan Doyle was born in 1996. Just to put that in perspective. And then also when you looked at the Chiefs, I mean, Matt Nagy was ahead of Eric Bieniemy on that staff. It also didn't matter because Andy Reid was calling the plays, right? So I kind of go back to, I don't know if you guys are Game of Thrones fans, but in Game of Thrones, there's a scene where, the king dies and the person to take over is a kid. And his grandpa's sitting there telling him, well, okay, well, these people attack you. What do you do? And he's like, oh, I attack them back. And he's like, well, what experience do you have with war? Are you a general? And essentially he tells him, like, a good king knows who to appoint in what position and then trusts them to do their job because you're not overall experienced in everything. You're not experienced at all with anything. You're a kid. So I think I always kind of apply that to life too, where you do have to understand what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I think as long as you have that understanding, then, like with Matt Nagy, he was calling plays, but he wasn't a good head coach. Same thing with Eberflus. Eberflus kind of got cornered into calling defensive plays. We saw success there, but like there's a lot more to being a head coach than just calling plays. Though some of the best head coaches don't call plays at all. So you have to be able to put together good staff, have good minds, be good teachers, teach these players on the field, and have the players win you the games at the end of the day. So, I'm very excited with what Ben Johnson's doing here. And I think, as time goes on, I'm actually buying in more and more and more, which is scary because I don't want to, man. I'm so hurt and jaded, but like, I can't help myself. Like, this is good. This is a good shot, as good as any. And one of the things I go back to is the beginning of this season when, everybody's calling Ryan Poles King Poles, and we're saying, hey, this is the best situation a number one overall pick has ever come into. And then halfway through the season, we're calling for his head, right? So I always go back to that and say, well, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't calling for his head. At the beginning of the year, I had some preferences on what I would have preferred to do differently, but like it wasn't much. So I can't, hindsight's always 2020 and it is what it is, but like you got to sit there and at least be in the moment and kind of just predict what you think is going to happen and then apply that throughout the year. Like with Ben Johnson, I think 8 to 10 weeks in, we'll have a really good idea of if we feel good about this thing long-term or not. First couple weeks, maybe up and down. Okay. But I think like a good 8-10 weeks of Ben Johnson football, and we'll know whether this thing's going to have some upside or not.
But what if in the last 3 weeks, Caleb Williams throws for a collective 1,000 yards and doesn't turn the ball over? So you could have a lot of hope at that point too. I think the ultimate thing at this point, and I'm really glad the Bears did this, was we're not going to know what we have with Caleb Williams truthfully until the end of his third year. And I think that is essentially going to go hand in hand with Ben Johnson because that would be the end of his second year, right? So I'm in agreement with that report that Courtney Cronin had. Courtney Cronin had reported that she used the word expectation, right? The expectation was that Ryan Poles was going to get an extension that aligns with Ben Johnson because all of us in Chicago media, scoundrels, Twitter bots, whatever you want to say, we all talk about the alignment, right? If you got rid of the general manager and you've got a new head coach who's making all that money, if Caleb Williams isn't perfect, it opens the door to move on from Caleb Williams to try and, save yourself, right? So I would have hated that. And in my opinion, I'm of the camp at this point where I feel that Ben Johnson did choose Caleb Williams as if he drafted him because he had the ability to go to Washington, to coach the Redskins and coach Jaden Daniels presumably, and he said, no, I'm going to go back to the Lions for one more year, see this thing out, become a better version of myself, and get better aligned so I can talk to Dennis Allen in November about how, hey, you want to be my DC in Chicago? Like, that's what he chose, in my opinion, and I am very much feeling that they're going to be in lockstep between offensive head coach, play caller, and quarterback.
I did see that. I don't know if this is a true report, but he was going to have I don't want to say hand in personnel decisions, but he was going to have a kind of a say in some personnel decisions when it comes to the offense. I don't know if that's true. I kind of want
acquiring
it to be kind of true.
Acquiring personnel.
I think so. I think they said, I saw something, he's going to have a hand in drafting and free agency and what he's looking for. I mean, you obviously...
We've seen the clips of Sean McVay, right? Like, listen, you guys should look up the clip of Sean McVay talking about Puka Nacua before he's drafted.
Yeah.
It's just masterful stuff. And that's the type of stuff where, before this all snowballed, I started the hashtag McVay to Chicago. And ironically, we're halfway there, right? Cooper Kupp's going to get traded. All it's going to take is for Matt Stafford to say, I'm done of my wife cheating on me, and he's going to retire too. Then maybe Sean McVay wants out. But end of the story, Sean McVay has a hand in personnel decisions, and look how that is turning out. So why can't Ben Johnson?
Yeah, he should. He should. And so
should.
Part of the thing is like when you looked at Mike Vrabel and when they traded away A.J. Brown, he was pissed at the GM. Pissed. And when you look at what AJ Brown's done since, he had good reason to be pissed. You lost a really good player. And so yeah, dude, when it comes to running an offense, and that was my issue with Eberflus too, it's like they say we want to trade up for Rome. He's like, yeah, he's all for it. Sure, yes. No, what you should be doing is saying, hey, I see my offense every day in practice. Like, we have other holes that we need filled more, rather than just being a yes man, actually argue your point. And I'm hoping that Ben Johnson will do that. I'm hoping that, his talent evaluation is really good, and that, his honesty and his stern personality will play into effect when it comes to talking and communicating with Ryan Poles. Because, guys, I don't know if you remember this. I heard a lot that the Bears scouting department was really good. People were really impressed with what Ryan Poles has been able to do as far as scouting players and things like that, and that whole system that they've had built. But at the end of the day, the choices just didn't pan out. But you also didn't have anybody arguing with you, other than like Ian Cunningham. I remember Ian Cunningham in one of the videos was telling Ryan Poles, like, dude, just let it fall to you, like, chill out. You know what I mean? And so you need that. You need that back and forth. You can't all just be yes, nodding, your head yes. And, like David mentioned, Ben Johnson likes to have guards that pulling guards, right? So you need a specific type of guard to be able to run the offense the way he would like to run it. And so, yeah, then
I would love to clap back on that.
Sure.
Ben Johnson directly said that his idea is to take what is available and design an offense around that. He is not going to ask Caleb Williams, who is arguably the best quarterback outside of the pocket in the entire NFL. He's not going to ask him to sit there like Jared Goff. So whether you need the guard or not, I'm sure it will translate. But I also do think that Ben Johnson will be able to kind of marry his ideal scheme with both the talent that is available to the Bears in addition to what the Bears can acquire. Whether that's Trey Smith, Tyler Booker. We've done multiple mock drafts where we've gotten Calvin Banks. Maybe Calvin Banks, who is not a tackle, is a tackle in college, moves to guard. I just don't know. And we can get into this whenever you guys want. I know, Paulie, you've got some videos queued up on the sacks. Yep. I would love to hear Nick's thought on the personnel, but Paulie, I feel like you had a point to finish.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you just said. It's why I was inspired to kind of go through and look at some of those sacks and see kind of what happened there, because when it comes to the Lions offense, they ran a lot of 5-man protection, just the offensive line. You're not having the tight end chip. You're not having the running back chip. Everybody else is running routes. And it seemed like with the Bears, even when we had extra guys in there blocking, we'd still wind up with a sack here and there. Something would go wrong here and there. So it's like, if you take that and apply it to this team, I don't think it works very well. And I don't think Caleb's the guy to be able to do what Jared Goff did. So I'm hoping that they do redesign everything according to player personnel. And yeah, that's why I said that's what motivated me to make some of these videos on sacks. And hopefully it's not just talk. Hopefully they actually execute that. I don't know, Nick, what do you think?
I think it feels different with Ben. I think him actually saying that at the presser and the way he comes off saying it, that he's going to rip it down to the studs. I think he's actually going to. He's going to. I mean, he had to do that in Detroit. You know, he went from being a tight ends coach to, I mean, I think he started at the quality control after Miami, worked his way up to tight ends coach, and then worked his way up to the OC, obviously, and turned things around. And he tailored the entire offense to what they had. Not like Carl was saying. Caleb Williams is, I think he's better. I think he's better than Jared Goff. I think truthfully he is.
Overall picture,
100%.
Now, I'll say something taboo. I think that Caleb Williams could end up as better than Jared Goff as a passer of the football. If your feet are in cement bricks and you can't move, I think that Caleb Williams could be better than Jared Goff, and I feel like that's a bit
He can't
taboo.
be a pocket passer. You've seen that this year. You've seen that.
Yeah, the Carolina clip, moved at safety. Jesus Christ, it does not get any better than that.
On the NFC side, and we've talked about this on BearSki Film, on the NFC side, who are the best quarterbacks? Jalen Hurts is in a Super Bowl again. Jared Goff.
But not because of him.
Yeah, thank you, Saquon Barkley.
Jared Goff, who's overexceeded career expectations.
There's an old man in here.
It happens when he doesn't have Ben Johnson as his coordinator.
Correct. And so you look at what, Brock Purdy? Like, who's next? Brock Purdy?
Jaden
Cousins? I guess Jaden Daniels, right? Like, but it's a very
NFC's very
small
weak
and thin list.
Do we want to do a quarterback tier list, boys?
Dude, if you want to, I'm down. Like Jordan Love, like who are you putting up there?
He had a very down year this year.
Of course. So like Caleb Williams has the opportunity to, in my opinion, be a top quarterback in the NFC easily.
100%. He's
because the NFC is so weak in quarterbacks. I mean, Matt Stafford, like, I don't know, like there's a handful of guys that are more accomplished just due to their resume and experience. But when it comes to potential, I think the potential for Caleb Williams is huge.
Yeah, it's through the roof. I mean, it really is.
So, Nick, I don't know if you heard this or not, but there was a little report that came out from a source that I kind of trust, saying that Carl's laughing.
Sources close to BearSki Film reports.
Sources close to BearSki Film. So this came out saying that Shane Waldron wouldn't even review tape enough.
Yes, I've seen this. And then you had to go to
I told Carl, it's like Harry Potter style. Like you have to go do it on your own.
Yeah.
Whereas Ben Johnson's like football obsessed.
Yeah, no, and I love that. I think that's exactly what he needed. That's exactly what this team needed.
So under the conditions that Caleb was working at, for him to still put up the performance he did with the personnel that he had, I mean, dude, I was shocked he survived the season, to be 100%. Honest with you.
I may have a hot take. I think if he was on the Commanders, I think they're in the Super Bowl right now.
I mean, the one thing with the Redskins is that their trenches play is terrible. So, Paulie, for all those boys banging the drum, got to fix the trenches. Redskins won a playoff game with no one on the Redskins trenches-wise, offensive line, defensive line, is a clear-cut, obvious upgrade outside of, I think it's Jonathan Allen.
Sam Cosmi.
You think Cosmi's a straight-up, just clear-cut upgrade to Tevin Jenkins when Tevin Jenkins is good?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know about that, but I'll give that one to you. But and moral of the story is they don't have the trenches figured out.
Tevin Jenkins is a top 5 guard when he's healthy. Yeah, Tevin Jenkins is a top 5 guard when he's healthy. But how often is he healthy? How often is he healthy? Never.
Well, this is the way that I wanted to take this, and I'm scrambling to try and get a quarterback tier list up. But we could talk about personnel decisions. We could talk about this offensive line and what needs to be fixed and what you guys think. Paulie, if you want me to put up the clips as a background, or if you actually want to analyze them, however you want to handle it.
What do you guys want to do? I mean, do you guys want to see some of the sacks that Caleb took? I mean, I have different videos. I have the first 3 weeks sacks, which is right here. We could just talk over it. I mean, there's a lot of, like, that first one was just flat out interior pressure.
And again, these are the first 3 weeks of a rookie quarterback in the NFL.
Correct. And so when you sit there and you take like these, all 22 tape and you like hyper analyze them, you could say, oh, well, right here, you can make a throw or something. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to consider that this is a guy in his 3rd game in his NFL. So like dumping the ball off in critical moments and things like that. Sometimes it's just not going to happen. But when you look at the interior line and the way they performed, the way they communicated, it was a mess. There's a Houston in this game, I think, laid out the blueprint for the rest of the league as far as get pressure from the inside. Get pressure from the inside. Nate Davis was terrible. You see 64 whiffing on a lot of blocks. Oh man, this hit right there. That was.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna like actually watch this intently. You're thinking that the Texans had the blueprint as far as it being interior pressure?
There was a lot of stunts.
Initially,
sure,
yes.
You're right there. But I just remember that game being Danielle Hunter showing you why he's an icon.
I mean,
the other rookie.
Yeah, but then what else? He didn't do anything else the rest of the season, though. Really, he didn't.
Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, he didn't stand out the rest of the season.
Yeah, because D'Amico Ryans peaked. What a surprise! I'm just kidding. I don't know.
So I'll show you some examples here, Carl. For
you can clearly see that stunt. I just saw that stunt.
Right,
Top.
a lot of stunts
a lot of
would
them.
fool these guys completely. So like,
see right there.
Yeah,
but how many people are rushing? That's 6, right?
But
that's 6 on 6.
It comes back to Nate Davis just standing there, not touching it.
Yeah, but they're not passing blocks off the right way. They're all holding on to the 2 people holding on to the same block when they see a guy running past them.
So let me present this argument then. I'm not a football guru. I do feel very strongly that when you're talking offensive line, it's very much 5 = 1, in the sense that you're better as a cohesive unit as opposed to, let's just say, I'm still a proponent of making Trey Smith the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history, right? He's not going to fix everything by himself.
No, of course not.
So you need to have these guys have a good scheme, and they need to be well coached and be better together. So that being said, if we want cohesion, does it sound like we want to bring guys like Tevin Jenkins and Coleman Shelton back?
Speaking of scheme, Carl, it's examples like this where you have Cole Kmet, who's supposed to pull across the whole line and block the edge rusher. But look at what Braxton Jones does here. Goes inside, doubles a guy with Tevin Jenkins. Meanwhile, Cole Kmet whiffs his block. And now you have Braxton Jones just sitting there.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying with Ben Johnson. 5-man protection. Like, simple, just go out there and do your job. Like, we're not going to sit here and play these kind of games just to have their title with the block. But I mean, dude, some of these were ugly, and a lot of it was Nate Davis. Like Nate Davis, Coleman Shelton.
Does 97 get the sack here?
Yes.
You know that Mario Edwards Jr. is like a Chicago Bear icon too, right?
Yeah.
That he's just a fucking fantastic player, even if he did abuse steroids.
But you got to be honest, though. A lot of this does come down to coaching too. Chris Morgan, I think that's his name, correct? Simo, Chris Morgan.
Yes, but the thing you're about to say, Nick, Shane Waldron apparently had scrapped 2 years. I don't know if it's specific to the run game.
Run game. He scrapped run game. Had nothing to do with the pass game.
Okay.
But like
he didn't have this line playing as a hive mind at all the entire year. At all. That's what you need to do. You need a quarterback of the line. You need your center to be the quarterback of the line. You need everyone to play with the same mindset. They didn't do that at all the entire year. Everybody was here. Everybody was there.
Ton of miscommunication. I mean, look, you 100%. Got 6 men blocking here. You got your running back blocking. And what happens? Darnell Wright whiffs a block. Mm-hmm. Your running back's inside now, trying to run around, and it's over. Like, yeah, go ahead.
To go off of the communication part, do you have? I think you only have the first 3 weeks, correct?
No, I have the first 3 weeks. I have the whole 49ers game sacks. I have the Patriots game sacks. No, I have the Seattle game sacks, and I have one more. I think that I did. I'm not sure.
Because I wanted to see if you could pull up when talking about communication. If we could pull up, maybe I can try to find it. We'll see. But when was it Cole Kmet and who was it? Roshan Johnson, or it was another running back or something. Cole Kmet and somebody was holding up Jonathan Grenard for like 5 seconds, right? And then after 5 seconds, they both let him go, and he goes to sack Caleb. Like both of them let go at the same exact time, and both sprint it out to the same flat with each other.
Carl, you could remove this one if
communication
you want.
So I'm sorry, Nick. You said that'd be on the quarterback at that point.
No, I'm not saying it's on the quarterback. I think it's everybody as a whole, as a team of 11 personnel. I mean, nobody was on the same page the entire year, and you have to chalk that up to Shane Waldron and the offensive line coach. And I mean, every other position coach too, to be honest. I mean, you're letting the rookie out there to fend for himself, which he did a great job of doing. But I mean, it's plays like that, and no shade on Cole Kmet, whatsoever. He's a great player. Nothing to do with him, and even the running backs, they're not terrible players.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It comes down to a lot of accountability. I mean, you have two guys holding the same block and then both shedding the guy and letting him go in to get your quarterback. It should be one guy needs to drop off or another guy drops off, or you both stick there and take on the fucking block.
Right. And dude, I do think it's actually on the quarterback though. And
it has a little bit to do with him, but I mean, he's a rookie. I'm not going to
right, exactly.
the blame on him. He's a rookie quarterback going through his pains. He's going to go through his pains. You can't expect. Jaden had a great year. He also had a lot of miscommunication with himself and his O-line too. It's going to happen no matter how good you are. Justin Herbert, his rookie year, threw for 4,000 some odd yards. Communication errors. It's going to happen. But you can't get away from that. And I'm not going to sit here and like some people are hanging it all on Caleb because. Yeah, he had a lot to do with it, but even going back to the chart we brought up last time we were on, how he evaded 50 sacks on his own. That's ridiculous.
Which was twice the amount of the next closest person.
Lamar with 28. That's ridiculous.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, Caleb Williams is a very special talent. I mean, it would just be silly not to say that some of it is his fault because it was.
100% is.
He's a rookie.
Is.
The issue is there's so much chaos going around you consistently that you're trying to do the best you can with it, that when those situations come up, when it is your fault, okay, but the past 9 were not, and I just tried to save us and, bust my ass to get us out of those bad plays, and yeah, this one's on me or whatever, but I'm, all these guys, I remember Urlacher saying, like, dude, if the team that we're facing scores 3 points, I feel like we failed as a defense. Like, my goal as a defensive player is to shut out every opponent we play. Not realistic at all. However, that's his mentality. So like that's where these guys are at. They're professionals, right? You're going to go through, you're going to dissect, you're going to say, yes, I could have done this better. Yes, I could have done this better. Dude, there's a lot of guys around you that could have done a lot of things better. Like, you're not going to call them out and things like that. And when you go through and hyperanalyze, you can see all sorts of different examples. But when you take the situation as a whole, and then you hear the things about Shane Waldron and everything like that. And then you also had injuries to tackle position. And like these guys are whiffing blocks. Caleb was still able to set rookie records for us. So like, despite everything around him, he did the best he could. And he still had a lot of success, which makes me excited for the future because it's just like, dude, just put some structure around him. And it seems like Ben Johnson is going to do that and more. I think that would, lead to a very different looking offensive team that we saw this last year for sure.
I mean, I'm surprised I'm not shaking a fucking champagne bottle and blowing it open with how good he did this year because I go back and look at Justin Fields' rookie year. He threw for 1,600 yards, and I was like, oh, this guy's going to be an MVP. We all said that. We were like, this guy's going to be the best fucking quarterback that's ever happened to us. And
well, Nick, let's be very honest. I know BCP feels the same, but Nick, we started the channel with the idea that we had a really good quarterback with Justin Fields.
We were wrong, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find because I wrote it down, but I have this a bit memorized, right? Caleb Williams is a rookie. Accounted for the most total yards in a Chicago Bear in their franchise history, with 2 different head coaches, 3 different offensive play callers, and a starting 5 offensive line that never saw the field under Ryan Poles' vision, right? I truly feel that Ryan Bates was supposed to be the starting center, and then you just kind of go down from there, right? We never saw that. So Caleb Williams essentially never had a good chance, and he still broke a record. I'm very, very convinced of Caleb Williams being a good quarterback. Do we want to continue to take a look at these sacks, or do we want to move on to the NFC quarterback tier rankings? Because I finally got that sorted.
Up to you, Paul.
Up to you guys. You guys make the choice. I mean, I have the videos ready if you want to see them, but
there's more videos, right? So let me get rid of these. You have to remove them, Paul.
Okay, I'll remove the sacks 1 through 3 because we saw those. We still have the 49ers, the Patriots. I mean, I have the Arizona sacks.
Well, how about
But
this?
let's look
Can
at the
you highlight-
49ers because it's just later in the season.
Sure, let's
Right?
take a look at it.
So
Now-
Yep. What are you saying, Carl?
I was just going to say, while we're watching this, we could analyze if you want, but I kind of want to hear Nick's thoughts on personnel decisions, what he'd kind of like to see the Bears do. Let's keep it specific to the offensive line.
So what do you mean?
Well, I would have to assume that your priority would be Trey Smith if, given the option, right?
100%.
Well, outside of Trey Smith, again, I think your options are A, Chiefs witchcraft. He will never see free agency.
I don't think he will, but
Or B, Carm did us a solid after, at surface value. Carm scared off Trey Smith from Chicago,
yeah.
right?
Can we talk about that for a second? How
Go for it.
fucking stupid was that to be sitting there fanboying over him, being like, "Oh my god, come to Chicago, come to Chicago." Why would you do that?
It's
to a free agent?
unprofessional and makes his
So
network
unprofessional.
lose
He's there
credibility,
as a
right?
chief. He's not there as a bear.
Now, let me paint this scenario. Imagine Nicholas Moriano got a chance to talk to Trey Smith under CHGO's tutelage. And now we're talking about, no, let's do Carm. I mean, I don't want to sandbag on anyone. I have to be very honest with everyone. Greg Braggs spent a lot of time, I think at least an hour here on Bears Country Productions. He's fucking fantastic, right?
I love Greg Rex. He's great.
He's as genuine as it gets. So just because he's affiliated with CHGO, us saying something bad about CHGO does not negatively impact any one specific person, right? Because at the end of the day, these guys are doing it as a job, and they're doing a damn good job.
Yeah.
But again, Carm specifically, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
I mean, I have to be honest. I like CHGO every once in a while. They're a good listen here and there. I mainly stop listening to them every day because of Carm. No shade whatsoever to them and him and everything like that. He's just not my cup of tea. It really just turned me off of the whole episode, the whole podcast itself. I don't know. It's something about him just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why, but
Guys.
letting go of Moriano and Will, and that was just an insane move the week before Christmas. But that's not here nor there.
Yeah. Guys, it's plays like this that really draw my eye to the left tackle position. I mean, look at number 70. Look at Braxton Jones here.
And he's got help at face value with Swift, right? I don't know what Swift does. It's maybe supposed to be a chip.
Right, but look, this looks okay. But watch, dude, he just gets pushed back.
Right, but context
That's-
matters. Who is he playing against?
Leonard Floyd, yes.
Was that Leonard
Ooh.
Floyd?
Oh, I think he's 94 for them. Is that 94?
Yeah, it's Leonard Floyd.
Yeah, Gumby's not known for power. He's a good player, right? We drafted him in the top 10. He's a good player, but that should not be happening to that. I can promise you that he did not do that in practice against the all-pro left tackle. I can't think of names right now.
Still, like, the need for center, the need for tackle is very, very obvious for this team.
Need
when
for
you
a whole
look
new
at-
5 starting line.
Trent Williams. Now, the problem here is Rome wasn't built in one day, right? So when you look at the actual roster construction, Braxton Jones is your starting left tackle and was drafted in the 5th round, so I don't even know if he's making $1 million a year. It could be the best, contract in the NFL as far as a starter is concerned. Why would you just throw that away when you literally, out of your interior, right now as things stand currently here on February 8th, the only interior lineman between left guard, center, and right guard that the Chicago Bears have under contract at either starting or the secondary positions is Ryan Bates. You've got to fill 5 positions on the interior offensive line unless you're going to, go the, asinine route of having that one former defensive lineman. I can't think of names right now, guys. He came in the Panthers game. I can't think of his name, but he's like an undrafted guard. Like, you cannot rely on him either. You need to fill 5 positions.
Curhan or Bill Murray.
Thank you, thank you, Nick.
Bill Murray,
Murray, right? You cannot have him be, penciled in at anything. So you have 5 positions you need to fill, and you're going to tell me that you're going to spend the 10th overall pick on a left tackle, and that's it? Ship out Braxton Jones, trade him for a bag
I
of
don't
peanuts.
think you need Braxton Jones, though.
Karan Amagaji, he's just worthless too, right? I mean,
No,
I think
I
that
don't.
the Bears should not really add that much to the left tackle position, but there's a sneaky little move that they can make in the draft, which would be to draft either Calvin Banks or, in my opinion, hopefully something stupid happens and Will Campbell falls to us. I've done some mock drafts. I don't think that Will Campbell makes it out of the top 5. That's just how the NFL is, right? Left tackles go in the top 10, period.
My one argument with you on that is that if there's a clear upgrade at left tackle, you have to take that upgrade. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it to me.
Sources
I
close
love
to the
Braxton.
Thy&Smi podcast can confirm that there isn't a generational left tackle in this
No,
class.
of course there isn't, but there's definitely an upgrade from Braxton Jones.
Not a
Don't
clear
get me
enough
wrong.
upgrade to justify pissing away the 10th overall pick on it.
So
I just don't understand why you can't move Braxton to guard. I don't
So-
know why everyone tosses that down immediately, or even moving Will to guard. Either way,
Who? Will Campbell?
Braxton.
no,
Yeah.
Braxton.
No, you said moving Will to guard.
Either one.
Braxton the guard.
Either
But
one. I don't care.
Will Campbell, you can't draft a guard at 10.
Yes, you can.
I don't think it would be smart.
So when it comes to the player personnel
Yes,
and the way this offensive
There
line
isn't
is
an
constructed,
icon there.
there's
Maybe
one,
Will Campbell is an iconic guard and we just don't know. I'm sorry, Paul.
there's one hard truth here, and it's because of the necessities that this offensive line needs, because of the failures from the moves that you did attempt, which were not many, but you attempted some. It needs a whole lot of attention, and the way it's shaken out, you're going to need to do one of two things: either A, leave Braxton in for one more year as left tackle as a band-aid, or B, overpay Tevin Jenkins. One of
Tevin
those
Jenkins,
two,
what?
as a
He's
guard.
not going to
Like,
play tackle.
No, as a guard.
No.
Like you need some type of band-aid here, because like you can't do it all. So you need to at least retain one of those guys in maybe an unfavorable type of role, but like you either need to overpay Tevin Jenkins a little bit and keep him here, or you need to say, hey, we're good with Braxton for one more year. But one of those two things I believe needs to happen.
The main issue I see with that is that I know Tevin's going to go somewhere and he's going to get north of 15. And he's not worth 15.
Yeah, again, Nick, I'm
I would
not.
pay him 13 max. 13 max 3 years.
over
Like, that's
13 is
where
where I
I'm
would
at.
go. Where I would-
Tevin Jenkins has flashed all pro potential. He didn't
Agreed.
flash that. He did not flash it in 2024. He was terrible in 2024. I don't care what any of you film junkies say. I watch the games. I watched a tackle or a player who could have played average and he would have got a lot more money. But I still think just because of the all pro potential that he's flashed, I still think that the team is going to overpay him. I think that
will.
someone's
Of course
going to
they
give Tevin Jenkins at least that $15 million. I could see them having something in the contract verbiage where he has incentives based on playing time where it would hit $20 million. Because Robert Hunt's getting $20 million. Tevin Jenkins is just as good, guys. So
Yeah, but
Right,
Robert Hunt's
so-
his best ability is availability.
So that's why you pay Tevin 75% of that 20 million. And that's why he will get 15 from somebody. And that's why I'm willing to give him 13, because at the end of the day, you say, okay, like the best guards are getting 20, but they're surviving throughout the whole season. If we're only expecting you to play 75% of the games, then you're only getting 75% of the money. And even that might be too little, because like you said, somebody out there will probably pay him more.
if you give Tevin Jenkins a low contract and he accepts without hesitation, that might be a major red flag. That might be him saying he's essentially medically retired. I think that he's going to test the market and he's going to receive an offer that the Bears would be foolish to match.
And Nick, I know you want to answer, but like real quick, do you remember at the beginning of the season, Tevin Jenkins wanted contract negotiations, and they
I
said,
remember
"Hey,
that.
wait till the bye week."
And he wasn't healthy.
Okay, so you pass up your chance.
Yeah.
You pass up your chance to sit there and actually probably get a deal done. And now this guy's going to go test free agency, and somebody is going to overpay him more than you're probably willing to overpay him. So,
Yeah.
which sucks.
I mean, yeah.
But then
they could
in
have
that case,
acted,
you have to keep Braxton Jones for one more year.
which I'm okay with. I'm perfectly
As long
fine.
as
I don't
you-
think he's.
Right. As long as
He's
you
bad.
fix the guard and center positions in that process. Listen, like that last sack we saw with Braxton Jones getting pushed back. If that's the only problem, it's only here and there, you can deal with that. But because the pressure's coming from the interior, because it's all over the place, that it's just gets added into the mess that we have. But like, yeah, I think it's not insane to think that we couldn't survive one more year with Braxton Jones. I think we could, for sure.
What do we think? I know that with free agency, what about Kevin Zeitler coming in being a band-aid guard?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a home run, right? He's not going to command too much money, and he has direct familiarity with the Ben Johnson offense. I think it'd be a home run.
All right. What do we think about Zach Martin?
Zach Martin is a boomer bust. He's from the Cowboys, right?
Mhm.
He's probably going to command
Hall
a
of
lot of
Fame guard.
money, but is he even going to hit free agency? I never hear his
Yeah,
name a
he is.
lot.
He hasn't gotten paid.
Yeah,
He's in free agency year this year.
Cowboys have their own issues. I mean, again, I don't know if I want to go this like injured route because that's the one of the proponents for giving Trey Smith literally every single piece of money is because I don't think he's missed a lot of time.
Let me check
And
that real quick.
he's got that rogue familiarity with Darnell Wright. I know that they played at Tennessee together. I don't know how long. And obviously, Ryan Poles would be very well aware of everything that is to come with Trey Smith, right? So I think that would be a fantastic addition. It's just that I doubt that the Bears even get the opportunity to try and make that. Now, I'm hearing people in chat say Drew Dahlman. I don't even know who Will Fries is. If you guys want to shed some light on that, please feel free. But I think Drew Dahlman is one of those like secondary options if Trey Smith doesn't work out.
I just feel like this thing was so mishandled already up to this point. Like in my perfect world, in my perfect scenario, you don't take Zach Pickens. You draft a center.
Yeah, I don't know what they were
And
thinking.
that move might have made such a big difference if you would have just gone that route. Like, dude,
We do have Ricky Stromberg.
Yeah, dude, I really think you need a center here. That's going to be
Hasn't Ricky Stromberg had multiple injuries though, like severe injuries? I don't know if he's someone.
I don't know about that.
I think that he's going to be another practice squad guy, and if he gets poached, he gets poached. I would not put too much stock into him.
No, I'm not putting any stock in him either. But
now, Paul, I agree with you regarding a center, right? But I don't know if the Bears should overdraft a center to be a rookie. I feel like maybe you need to do something along the lines of what they did last year, where you bring in a veteran. Maybe that's Drew Dahlman. And I think you have to retain Coleman Shelton just because of the amount of holes you have. And I do not want Coleman Shelton to be given the starting center job. I don't think that he's good enough to just say you're the starter and that's it. But I don't know if it's worth drafting a rookie over drafting him and having him be the starter. I don't know. It's just such a precarious situation. I can talk myself into either side of the fence, unfortunately.
From what I'm seeing, Trey Smith has missed one game.
Yeah, and the only reason I was told he fell to the 6th round is because he had an issue with blood clots, and he was like a 2nd-round talent, right? So again, I'm very much okay with giving Trey Smith the highest-paying offensive lineman contract in the history of the NFL.
20. I would give him north of 20, without a doubt.
I think that the highest-paid offensive lineman in the NFL currently is $28 million. I think it's Penei Sewell.
Oh yeah, well he's a tackle. That's a different kind of money though.
Right, but like if we need to poach blue chip talent away from a Super Bowl winner, giving a guy $25 million, maybe it can't all be fully guaranteed. Maybe you give him a lot of escalators. Hey, if we win a playoff game, you're going to get $1 million. Oh, we can win the playoffs, whatever. So there's a way to get it done. But
the only issue I'm seeing here is that Washington has over 100 million cap space. I think Patriots have over 100 million cap space. Does he see a brighter future with the Commanders? Does he see a brighter future with the Bears? Does he see a brighter future with the Patriots? It may not always just come down to the dollar. He's seen a lot of success in Kansas City.
Well, I'll tell you guys what. Okay, so even if we do that, we still have plenty of offensive line issues. We still need guard, center, and then even the depth there is lacking. And when it comes to Tevin Jenkins, the reason why I'm kind of for overpaying him. I think he's totally got the leverage in this situation just due to the amount of problems and the amount of holes we have. And even if he's not capable of surviving a whole season, as long as you pay him accordingly, I think when he is out there, he makes a big difference. Guys, in my time putting highlights together in these last couple of years, he's been the only offensive lineman that I've been able to make highlight videos of. This guy plays through the whistle. Dude, I remember seeing like Eddie Jackson avoid piles. It's just like, oh no, they got it. Meanwhile, like Tevin Jenkins, even if there's a pile up, he's just the last guy on there through the whistle, just coming in, beating the crap out of people, pushing people out of bounds. Like his motor is crazy good, and his health is not. And so like, yeah, you worry about those two things, but like I said, we need some kind of consistency here. And maybe, just maybe, if you could get some other things better around him, maybe that does help him stay a little healthy too when he doesn't have to sit there and, do more than he has to do. So I don't know. I just think that he's in a situation where he's got the upper hand on us. I don't think we can afford to sit here and lose Lyman at this point.
So really quick, I pulled up the upcoming free agents. Would you guys mind if I ran through the top 10 and tell me who you guys might
Let me
think?
just ask Paul one question while Tevin Jenkins is on the mind. Did you see what you explained about Tevin Jenkins in 2024?
No.
Thank you.
You know what the NFL is?
That's a fair question, and it's an honest answer. No.
You know what the NFL is? It's a what have you done for me lately league.
Not for long. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, here really quick, I want to go over the 10 offensive linemen that are coming available in free agency, and I want to hear what you guys maybe think about them and where you would stand with them.
Go for it, man.
So, I'm just going off of it's sorted out as to what their actual annual value would be from their previous year. So, at number 1, you have Zach Martin. He's 34 years old. You got Cam Robinson, Minnesota's left tackle that they traded for from the Jags this year.
I was really mad about the Cam Robinson acquisition by the Vikings because it was pennies on the dollar.
Oh, yeah, it was a great trade.
I watched a lot of Vikings games, and I didn't see him standing out, and I genuinely don't think that he would be a clear-cut upgrade to Braxton Jones.
Didn't he get hurt?
Cam Robinson?
Yeah, didn't he get injured in a game this year after they traded for him?
I'm not sure about that. It's very possible. Darisaw had essentially a gruesome season-ending injury.
I swear to God,
and he's great.
I think he is great. I think a game that he went down. I can't remember, but I don't know.
It's very possible.
All right, what do we think about Brandon Scherf, guard, 33 years old, out of Jacksonville?
If Jacksonville is willing to move on from offensive linemen, just that philosophy alone, I'd say stay away. You're saying 33 years old?
He's 33, but he's a very good guard.
At right guard?
I think he's a left guard, if I'm not mistaken. Or he might be a right guard.
Well, if it's a comparison with Zeitler, I'd rather have Zeitler.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Can I quickly address a comment we have in chat?
Yeah.
From Googly Bear. Jenkins was a tackle.
He was. He was a right tackle.
Yes. So a lot of these guys come in a left tackle. A lot of these guys come in from the draft as a tackle because tackles make more money. So like you want to sit there and push that because you're going to get better contracts as a tackle. But the second they got him, it changed to guard because they're like, no, dude, you're a guard. So even though he was drafted as a tackle.
Sir, Tevin Jenkins played right tackle at Oklahoma State, I believe. And what happened was he was drafted by Ryan Pace as the left tackle. He started at left tackle, and it was a terrible showing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Ryan Pace, Nagy, whoever it was, they said, "Oh my God, our second-round investment, who I believe the Bears traded up for, is sinking like a rock in the ocean." And they moved him to guard. I believe he was moved directly to right guard. And let Dan Shorty speak for himself. He thinks that he was a Hall of Famer at right guard. I don't know if I agree with that.
I agree totally.
He was so good.
Totally.
He was so good.
I feel like Tevin Jenkins' best ball was in 2023 when he actually played left guard too. Like I saw all pro traits from Tevin Jenkins at left guard.
The issue, though, Carl, is like you sit there and it's the NFL, and like you have to sit there and really work on your craft. And it's very, 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 there's a lot of details involved, right? So, like, you moved Tevin Jenkins from right guard to left guard because you went out and got Nate Davis.
That's fact.
And so, like, man,
that was
Nate
such
Davis,
a terrible move now.
Right, dude, you should have just left Tevin at right guard.
The right guard, Nate Davis, he wasn't an awful idea of a signing, right?
The idea, Chase Claypool wasn't a bad idea either.
I think there's a Virginia McCaskey effect where Nate Davis's loved one, presumably his mother, passed away, and the football left Nate Davis. So I would have loved to see Nate Davis fully healthy, physically and mentally, because maybe, just maybe, he would have been able to pan out. But obviously that ship has sailed. At this point, I doubt he takes another snap in the NFL. I mean, it was just such a flame out. And I understand why they moved Tevin Jenkins. And again, I'll stand by it. I saw all pro traits from Tevin Jenkins at left guard.
Yep.
But when he needed to show those for the Bears desperately, when the Bears needed that desperately in 2024, there was none of it. So how can you trust this guy on a new contract?
I just feel like if you would have left him at right guard and put Darnell right there, at least you would have had some strength to your offensive line.
But now we're talking about acquiring a left guard, and they'd have to do something stupid along the lines of asking Larry Borum to move there. Like, I think that when you take the 5=1 philosophy, moving Tevin Jenkins to the left was fine in the moment. It didn't work out, so be it.
I mean, that's fair, but agree to disagree.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for a couple more names?
Please.
Ryan Kelly, center for the Indianapolis Colts.
A little bit too old, right?
I like
a little bit too old. Now, conversely, Drew Dalman, the center of the Falcons.
I like Drew Dalman as well. He's a rookie. Not a rookie. He's coming off his rookie contract.
Yes. I mean, the Falcons, I believe, at one point, I don't know if every single offensive lineman they had was a first-round pick. I mean, you cannot sign everyone. So I do think Drew Dalman gets a chance to be signed by the Chicago Bears, and I would put him in that second tier. Can't get Trey Smith on the first day during the tampering period. Let's go get Drew Dalman.
I think you still try to get Drew Dalman on the first day.
I know you said you don't want to overdraft a center just due to the need, and I haven't really done my homework.
My gut is my gut is telling me the available centers in the 2025 draft class are not iconic. Like, you're going to get a center at like the 4th, 5th round because that's where they deserve to be taken.
And you know what? There's been plenty that you've gotten throughout the league. Like, dude, Jason Kelsey was Jason Kelsey, right?
Jason Kelsey, the anomaly.
6th round. No, it's not an anomaly.
Undisputed first ballot Hall of Famer. Jason Kelsey.
It's not an anomaly. There's plenty.
I think it is.
Plenty of centers that go late that pan out. Those are a position you could draft 4th, 5th, 6th round and still have a guy that comes in and does the work. It's an anomaly. Braxton Jones is the anomaly. Yeah. Typically, you don't get 5th round left tackles being even average like he is. Like I regardless, though, I think that position with a young quarterback is so important. Even if we go out and sign a guy who's, towards the end of his career, that it still is a Band-Aid, and it's for the long term. It might help you now a little bit, but like, dude, you need somebody in there that's going to be snapping the ball to Caleb Williams for the next years.
Yeah, you're right, and that's why I don't like the idea of getting an old guy, because I think you need to have something tangible there. So I feel like my preferred method would be to retain Coleman Shelton. Again, do not hand the job to Coleman Shelton. And Coleman Shelton has a track record of being able to play at either of the positions interior, I believe. So if Coleman Shelton doesn't work out at center, maybe he's either at the very least insurance for the guard position. But like, Drew Dalman is the one who stands out to me as far as like just names without doing too much research, because he's a first-round pick, he's talented, and he's just not some scrub, right? Conversely, you could get a rookie, hope the 4th, 5th, 6th round guy is good enough, but he's a rookie. I would want something with someone who has a little bit more experience, being, the person snapping the ball to our very young quarterback who's going to be learning a new offense.
All right, I got a couple more names. I'm going to get these out really quick. Mekhi Becton, guard for the Philadelphia Eagles.
The weakest link of Philadelphia's offensive line, the failed tackle. I mean, I wouldn't give him a lot of money. He's like he's like the 3rd tier, in my opinion.
He's not playing terrible this year, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, but Barkley will do that for you.
A good line around him, exactly, yes. and they have good players around him. So
yeah, he does.
It's so funny because I genuinely think that the All-Pro NFL offensive line is playing tomorrow, because I think that the Chiefs, bar none, have the best interior, and I think that the Chiefs have the best tackles.
So the Eagles, you mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, I was going to say.
I don't know if you've heard me say this, Nick. I feel like both of the Chicago Bears tackles would both be strong upgrades for the Chiefs tackles.
Oh yeah. Well, they have Joe Thuney playing at tackle right now, though. He's been playing lights out since.
No one's upgrading Thuney up from the Bears. But if Thuney plays guard, the tackles that they started the season with, one idiot who's always 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, every play, something like that. I think that Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones are clear-cut upgrades for both of them.
I 100% agree. 100%
agree. That's why I go back to like saying, okay, well, it is on the quarterback then. Like, it's hard to sit there and put it on the quarterback when he's a rookie, but like, I've watched Tom Brady and I've watched him snap the football. The left tackle gives up his block, and he just throws it at the ground. Live to play another day. So Caleb being athletic is going to try and make something out of that play, which Tom Brady wasn't. You know what I mean?
But was Tom Brady doing that the year that Drew Bledsoe got injured? Nick,
he was
Oh,
doing
sorry.
that
So sorry.
throughout. He
So
was
sorry.
doing that throughout the second half of his career consistently.
second half of his career after he had
Correct.
Super Bowl
Not as a
victories under his
rookie,
belt.
Not as a rookie. And so that's what I'm saying, Carl. It's hard to sit there and put it all on Caleb. However, the opportunity for a quarterback to make a difference is there in the NFL. And Tom Brady showed us that. You can fix a lot of other mistakes. And I know people are going to nail me to a cross for bringing up Tyson Bagent, but I thought it was just really astonishing that Fields was getting sacked 3 to 5 times a game, and then he got hurt. And over the course of 4.5 games, Tyson Bagent was only sacked 5 times.
Mhm.
Right? So you brought that number down to just a little bit over 1 sack a game, and it was all just due to play style. Tyson Bagent would just get rid of the ball. Now, was it as effective? Maybe not. But you weren't taking sacks. You were leaning more on your playmakers a little bit to go out there and make a play. And so there's different ways to play this game from the quarterback position, but you do have the opportunity to sit there and cover up some of these line issues and things like that. Now, yeah, dude, it's rough because of how bad this line truly is. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like center might be the easiest, most fixable spot. I don't know.
I don't know.
Just,
I guess if you consider Drew Dahlman as an upgrade, I would to Coleman
Yes.
Shelton. I feel like
Yes,
that's
100%.
that is an upgrade that won't break the bank. You are not going to make Drew Dahlman the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history.
He's going to go for 10, maybe less.
Right. So I feel like that's a really good starting point for the Bears. Again, if they can't get Trey Smith, who I'm all on board for that. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying that they have to go to bed. We appreciate each and every one of you. We haven't really addressed you guys too much, so I apologize for that. But you guys know who you are. Obviously, Dobbsy, Chad Spieger, Trapakipa, Oxy Brodone. Did I say that name correctly? Some guy named Cliff Victoria. I think that's Domber's alternate account. Good Time Bears. I already said Dobbsy, Mind of Murdoch. A lot of you guys know who you are. You guys are just fantastic. So thank you very, very much. Nick, I know you said you're leaning towards. Yeah, Paul, if you gotta go. Nick, you're leaning towards getting out of here. How much time you got?
I got 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, if Paul C's got to step away, I mean, do you want to rattle off some more names and we can figure out what's going on?
I just wanted to add one more name.
Yeah, go for it.
Last one I wanted to add in. Okay, 2. I'm sorry. I wanted to add in.
Go for it.
What do we feel about Dalton Risner?
Dalton Reisner.
Risner, sorry, guard on the Vikings.
That's the guy who I don't know how the Vikings acquired him, but they acquired him from Denver, right?
No, he was a free agent.
So they acquired him from Denver. He was on Denver. I can guarantee you that he's a good player,
Yeah,
and especially if you feel like there's some crossover there with what you've been seeing in the NFC North. Ben Johnson's very familiar with the Vikings. I would say that's a fine player to get. I'm almost certain that he's a right guard as well.
Yes, he is. And then last one might not be a likable guy, but Josh Myers, center from the Packers.
Yeah, I'm done with Packers sleeper agents. I mean, they tried to do it. They said can't beat them, steal them, right? All these Mercedes Lewis. Who's that terrible interior offensive lineman that we got who went to the Saints? Yeah, Lucas Patrick, who PFF told me he was an All-Pro. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I remember
he's
that.
terrible.
Like the highest graded player in the fucking league.
Fuck you. I've got direct evidence to prove that he's looking for work. He's just like Nate Davis, right? I'm done with these Packers sleeper agents. If they're leaving Green Bay, there's a reason for it. Fuck them.
Yeah, I agree. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Take your time. At this point, Paulie, I don't know if you have any other suggestions as far as free agents or methods you want to see the Bears attack. I also want to do this quarterback tier list for the NFC.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally down to do a quarterback tier list. I think that would be a lot of fun and interesting content. But honestly, like when it comes to free agency, dude, I think it's weird because we've seen Ryan Poles be very conservative and cheap when it comes to certain things. He constantly preaches value. So we've seen them hit on some of these value positions like TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds.
Mm-hmm.
You got both those guys for the price it would have cost to keep Roquan Smith here, right? So
Unfortunately, Tremaine Edmonds is the majority of that. But
correct. But I mean, still, you got two for the price of one. Like you sit here and you try and, gain value. But the problem is you did that with the center position. It's been Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. I mean, you went Cody Whitehair, Sam Mustipher, Lucas Patrick, Coleman Shelton. As much as I would like to go out there and get like an older guy and sign him for 2-3 years just to kind of solidify something, and it might be the way you have to go just because of how many holes you have. I still just like I'm really desperately like want a center that's just going to be here long term. Like I think that's so important. You look at Peyton Manning with Jeff Saturday, like, dude, you need that connection and you need to start that sooner than later, in my opinion. So if we're not going to win the Super Bowl next year, which I don't think we are, dude, I'm totally down with drafting a center and letting that guy go through his ups and downs next year and starting to build something on this offensive line. So that's going to last. So
the only name that I'm, my brief time looking into this offensive line draft class, Zabel, I think it's Gray Zabel.
Yeah.
That's the only name who was like a good player at his school, but his school's competition was crap, so he went to the Senior Bowl and still showed out. Like that's a player that I could. That's a player that I could get behind, but my thought process being that the center class is weak and Zabel has the ability to play either guard position too. Like I feel like he's going to be like a 3rd round pick at the worst. I know that before this, maybe he would have been mocked in the 5th, 6th, 7th. And sure, Diamond in the Rough, Braxton Jones Part 2 meets center. Like that, I'm all for that. But I just don't know if that's available in this draft class, which is really unfortunate because I think everything Paulie is saying, I actually agree with. Nick, I don't know how much more time you have. Me and Paulie are definitely in the camp of trying to fill out this NFC quarterback tier list. Do you got time for that?
Yeah. I'll hang out for a second.
Let's run it real quick then. You guys can start wherever you want. Here, let me see if I can throw this on screen for us right now. So, pretty self-explanatory. These are the collections of names. Normally, I would say that S tier is reserved for Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if we want to keep that sentiment or how we want to do that, but
yeah,
I would say that this should be kind of a graph in the camp of comparing to each other. So not necessarily the entire NFL, but like in comparison to each other, if that makes sense.
I guess I would rather do it compared to the entire NFL, but I mean, I guess if we're just focusing just on NFC, then I would put somebody up in that S tier. But like in the NFL, there's only one guy that belongs in that tier, and it's Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I will fight you on that, but not much.
Sure.
But I agree. Patrick Mahomes is the only valid S tier quarterback at this point. Maybe much to my chagrin, right? But yeah, Cliff, if you guys have to go, obviously any involvement you guys have had in chat, we really greatly appreciate it. And we had a really late start. It's 11 o'clock Central. So, Cliff, anyone else who's got to leave, we really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Well, do we want to take a stab at any of these, or do you want me to start things off? I mean, I've got them positioned by their divisions. Not that it matters too much.
Let's just start off with the first one, Derek Carr.
Okay. Derek Carr, I think, is towards the bottom of these quarterbacks in the NFC. Like, really, really close to the bottom.
He's between C and D.
Guys, and between C and D, I want to be able to go back after we've made a couple picks and adjust. To be like, I know we put this guy in C, but he's actually a D.
Because we're only doing half the NFL. We're doing the NFC guys, right? And technically, there's no Giants quarterback because they're just such a dumpster fire. I'm not even going to touch that situation, right? We can definitely go back and readjust at that point. That's fine by me. So I guess let's build this off of what we've done previously. So if we think that Derek Carr is towards the bottom of all quarterbacks in the NFC, Kirk Cousins is bad, but I think he's actually better than Derek Carr, even though he had a terrible year. I guess technically we need to put Michael Penix in this graphic as well, because he's playing now.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Kirk as a starter anymore.
Okay, so we could totally blow Kirk out of the water. I mean, maybe that's my sentiment. I should apply for Penix then. Again, Penix, not a good player currently in my opinion, but probably better than Derek Carr.
I know
Is
you're
that fair?
going just in order. Could I just ask you one question, just out of order?
Yes.
Out of all these group of guys, who's the best quarterback? Or give me the top two.
Unironically, the top two.
Top two or top three? Like, who are the best quarterbacks out of all
I
these guys?
think you've got to go Baker, Stafford,
Stafford's a
Goff.
tier below. Like
straight off the resume, and
then Hurts is playing
Stafford's
in the Super
very
Bowl.
good. Yeah, but they're not there because of him. They're not a good team because of him being a good quarterback.
So like
They're simply not.
my argument would be that Jalen Hurts is worse than Dak Prescott, but I don't
I
know.
would not. I don't know.
What?
Well, yeah, I guess I could agree with that because
I'm
Dak
not-
puts up numbers.
That's what I dislike about this. Like I don't even think that Dak Prescott is good. Like he's fine, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's any clear cut best, which is why that S tier, even just naturally, even just focusing on the NFC side of things.
Baker Mayfield has a coaching tree, buddy. I think he's a really
15.
good quarterback.
Fifth team, isn't he on his 5th team, Carl?
Yeah, well, look at what the Browns did. They made the mistake. That's not his fault.
Yeah, they should have never moved off of him to be completely
Yeah,
honest
he
with
should
you.
still be
The
with the
Rams
Browns,
should go
and the
for him,
Browns
too.
would be perennial playoff contenders.
He
With him.
wasn't the issue.
Yeah, I love Baker Mayfield. I think that he's a fantastic quarterback. I could make the argument that he's top 10 in the NFL all day and night.
I'll make this argument. As much as I hate the guy, out of all these guys, who's got a Super Bowl ring?
Stafford.
Where are you
Stafford.
going here? Stafford? You think
Stafford.
Stafford is better than Mayfield?
I think he's got a better resume.
That's not what.
I still
This sucks.
think-
I guess we have to come up with
I
clear
guess
guidelines.
So clear guidelines. Yeah. Are we looking at from now moving forward? Or are we talking about just in general over their career?
Here, really easy, really easy. You have to win the Super Bowl tomorrow because literally there's a Super Bowl being played tomorrow. These are the quarterbacks that you'd rank the list of wanting to win a quarterback or winning the Super Bowl tomorrow.
So just one game.
Yep, tomorrow. Literally
Yeah,
tomorrow. So all
then-
things considered.
I put Stafford over Baker.
Clear
For just
cut.
one game? For just one
I'm
game,
willing
yeah.
to put them on the same tier, but I'm not willing to put Baker Mayfield below him.
Maybe Fellini for this. I think Stafford is the best pure thrower of the football out of any quarterbacks in the NFC.
Sure.
I think in that case, you're looking at Baker, Stafford, and Jared Goff all in the same tier.
You think Goff is right here?
I mean, he made an NFC championship last year. They had a really, really good offense this year. Moving forward, I don't think he's going to do that. But
Would it help if I did this?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't like that S tier, man. I really don't. Not for this. Yeah, I think so. I think that's how you got to do it.
We'll have to utilize the F tier at this point then, but I'm okay with this. I mean, Jalen Hurts in the C tier feels weird, but I don't think much of him.
And I would put Jalen Hurts in the B tier. I know it's not because of him, but like, at the end of the day, you just have to do enough for what your team dictates you to do. And he's been able to do that. I mean, he's in a Super Bowl. So to put Dak Prescott over him, I mean, I guess just as a pure quarterback and just for one game alone, you're right. I'd rather have Dak over Jalen for sure. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. The stipulation is you have to win the Super Bowl tomorrow. So
Then I think
I'll give it to you. None of
Daniels
these
up there
guys
too,
belong in
man.
the. Who? Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels?
Yeah, I think so, man. For one game only.
He's
like-
not. He's not
No,
here.
B. Yeah.
It's fine by me. I mean, I want to say something that a lot of people you'll probably unsubscribe and dislike and make fun of me and say mean things, and that's fine. But I'll stand by that as well. Like
No.
it's awkward and
Okay.
taboo
I'm
What?
unsubscribing right now.
Yeah. Bye. See you later, buddy.
to win the Super Bowl tomorrow. You'd rather have I guess
I'd rather
put
have
them on the same
Jalen.
tier.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd
That's
Derek Carr than Bryce Young.
Who? You'd
I'd
rather
rather-
have Derek Carr than Bryce Young?
I'd rather have Michael Penix than Bryce Young.
Bro, are you serious?
Yes.
The best mind in football,
Dave Canales.
well, yeah, Dave Canales, he saved him. Everyone wants to talk about crowning C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud isn't even the best quarterback from his draft class. I mean, Bryce Young is better than C.J. Stroud.
Where's Kyler Murray going?
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. I'll talk about that whenever you guys want. I
Kyler
mean,
isn't bad.
it probably starts here. Now, I could see this, but he's terrible. I invested everything into Kyler Murray in fantasy. I paired him, stacked him up in the league that I won with Marvin Harrison Jr. And now the slander of Marvin Harrison Jr. is that he's terrible because of his terrible quarterback.
Terrible OC.
I think that, yeah, you're not wrong, but Kyler Murray is not him.
Carl, do you think Bryce Young on the Eagles still has him in the Super Bowl right now this week?
Let me paint this picture to you. Bryce Young really had no offensive line, and he had to deal with a collapsing pocket all the time, and he's a tiny little guy. If you had this tiny little guy, who I think is a national champion at Alabama, play behind arguably a top 3, top 2 offensive line in the entire NFL, with the best running back that the NFL has seen in a couple of years behind him, yes, I think that Bryce Young and the Eagles together are playing tomorrow. That's why I feel strongly putting him above Jalen Hurts. But
the thing is like the argument for everything being perfect around the quarterback. I get that argument, but the quarterback is the position that can sit there and overcome the most obstacles and cover up the most mistakes. So I think there's something to that. And I think when you're looking at Bryce Young, it's like, okay, he has not done that at all. So if you need everything to be perfect around you, you're at the same category as Brock Purdy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you're saying Brock Purdy would go right here?
I'm saying both of them would go in a D tier, in my opinion, but that's just my
opinion.
take.
No, Brock Purdy's not a D tier quarterback.
Well, everything's perfect
it's
around
so
him, so he's
awkward.
had success. If he was on
Per-
the Bears, Carl, he'd be a D tier quarterback. So it depends on how you want to think about it, for sure.
It's also debatable, but I mean, like, it's coming to fruition that the San Francisco 49ers passing options are not the best in the entire world. I mean, George Kittle's fantastic. The kid that they
Really, you say
re-signed that they
that?
shouldn't have. Yeah. Like, the 49ers have an okay offensive line. They deal with injuries, and I know that they, like, literally require a tackle. But look what happened. They dealt with some injuries this year, and they ended up, what, third place?
He took the Chiefs to overtime in a Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, that's when everyone was top flight healthy. I mean, the wide receiver they retained, the guy who held out the entire year, he went to Arizona State. I don't know his name. He's just terrible. And Deebo Samuel, he's not the kid that he used to be as well. I mean, I genuinely think that Brock Purdy's very capable at quarterback. That's the point I'm trying to make.
That's fair. And to be honest with you, I thought he was worse initially, and over time I've kind of given him more and more credit the more I've watched him, because the kid's a damn good quarterback. But if you're going to make this argument for Jalen Hurts, then it's the same argument for Brock Purdy. Like, if it's not because of him, okay, I get it, but like, so then it wasn't because of Brock. I mean, or is Brock better than Jalen Hurts? How do you feel about that?
I could see that.
Honestly,
I think Brock's a better pure thrower of the football than Jalen Hurts is. I could agree.
But Jalen Hurts is a better tush pusher, whatever you want to say. He's more capable with his legs.
That's
so
great.
The more that we keep talking about this, I feel like Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy deserve to be on the same tier. I think that they're locked together at the hip.
Okay. All right. I can see that.
Let's leave Caleb Williams for the end. Do we want to touch Jordan Love?
I think Jordan Love's. Fuck, man.
I
He's
think
between B and C
Jalen
for
Hurts and Brock Purdy belong in B, and I think Jordan Love's a C.
Yeah, I can see that.
To be honest with you, I think that looks better to me personally. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I like it. It's not terrible.
Do we want to touch Kirk Cousins? I mean, is he truly in the F category? I don't think he's much worse than
No, I think he's in
Derek Carr.
D. He's in C or D category.
I'd say D because he had such a terrible year. And again, if the stipulation is we're trying to win the Super Bowl tomorrow, I mean, he literally can't stand on his leg, right? Or something of that nature. Is Michael Penix on the same tier? I mean, what about Sam Darnold, the guy who presumably is going to be back in Minnesota next year?
C tier. I mean, you saw what he could do with a perfect situation and a perfect play caller, but he's not the kind of guy to elevate people around him. just not.
Okay. Geno Smith. Do we think that he's in the same tier as Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray? Worse, better?
I think Geno's right there with him. I mean, you saw what he did with Shane Waldron as his offensive coordinator. He threw for 4,000 yards.
I'm hesitant to put him in the C tier. I think you're right. I think he does belong in there, but like looking at his career, I mean, this dude was a backup for a long time. Teams didn't want to give him a shot. I don't know. He's done it late in his career. His numbers did go down from his first year starting in Seattle to his second year starting. I don't know if I would say he's better than Sam Darnold or Kyler Murray or Jordan Love. If there's like
Geno
a
Smith?
C minus, if there was a C minus, I think that's where I'd have Geno. But like, I'm teeter-tottering between C and D with him.
No, I think Geno Smith is, I'd say, a tier better than Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Michael Penix.
I would agree with that.
It leaves the last one, and unfortunately, I'm identifying a trend. I mean, I feel like it's fair to put Caleb Williams at the top of the C tier right now.
I think he's bottom B, top C, yeah.
So this
But
is what I was saying
like a
earlier.
high upside B, though.
If we could go back and like redo some stuff,
Yeah.
who belongs in the F category here?
I don't know if there is one.
Let's
Derek Carr.
move
Derek
somebody
Carr.
down from D to F, and I think we could probably move somebody down from C to D, somebody down from B to like, because I don't know. Oh, you think Kyler Murray? I
mean,
guess.
just look at their weapons on paper. I don't know exactly what's going on with their offensive line. I could tell you that Paris Johnson's on that offensive line, and the Bears fans are ready to go to war to draft him, right? So he should be a capable tackle. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a generational wide receiver. His backup, I think it's Michael Floyd, maybe? Another very capable wide receiver. Greg Dortch, really good utilization type,
Gadget guy.
Yeah, gadget guy, thank you. Your tight end, second best tight end in the entire NFL, only behind George Kittle, right? It's an iconic tight end. Running back situation, James Conner, I would hate for him to be on the Chicago Bears, but he's the heart and soul of the Arizona Cardinals. There is some talent around Kyler Murray, and he fucking could not capitalize. I am very, very, very down on little Kyler Murray right now.
Yeah, I think I would move. I think I'd move Geno down a spot too. I think one of those Atlanta quarterbacks you got to move down. Probably Kirk,
Because he got benched for
Yeah,
Penix.
he's got to be an F, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know Bryce Young. I think you have to move. him
Yeah,
down
you're right. You're right.
Down to D,
Oh,
in my
he's no. I'm not going to allow this slander to continue, right? Again, I'm very in the camp. CJ Stroud is not the best quarterback from his draft class. Bryce Young is definitely he's just as good as Sam Darnold. Let's leave that as the basis here, right? Caleb Williams, again, talent-wise, right here. Top of everything. But as far as winning a Super Bowl tomorrow, there's some guys you'd rather have than Caleb Williams, in my opinion, just going off the track record, right? It's just 1 year. I'm looking at this list, and I'm not seeing any obvious issues. I do like it. Again, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Jalen Hurts being a whole tier below Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy. Hate to say Jane Daniels.
Carl.
But you're
Bryce-
probably right. He's taking his team to the Super Bowl.
Bryce Young, had 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Yeah, but look at the skill groups. We're talking about Chuba Hubbard,
He was a great running
Chuba
back this year.
Hubbard. Right, but like you have to overutilize that because you can't pass pro? And you're throwing to who? You're relying on Adam Thielen at the ripe young age of 42 years old to have hero catches to take you to overtime? Like, if he when they draft this Tatoria McDonald kid, let's see how good Bryce Young is then. I genuinely think like he's gonna. Yeah, you guys are being homers a little bit, PJ, a little bit, and welcome in, sir. But
Yeah, and I put it in the chat. I would love for PJ to elaborate on that a little bit. How exactly we're being homers.
Yeah.
Because we have Caleb in the C category. I don't think he belongs below that.
I can start to run some chat polls as well. I mean, Mr. Mayhem says the list sucks, and I can see that. I have some very off the wall taboo thoughts, and I accept that. But
You guys, yeah.
what are some obvious issues that you guys see with this list? Just list one. Say
So-
someone needs to be in a certain tier. Let's hear it, chat.
Yeah, Mr. Mayhem's all about sucks. I guess we really suck, guys, but whatever. He said Jared Goof should not be in the A tier. Okay, however, he's playing the best ball of his life. That's why I said it's like if we're talking one game. I mean, he's messed up here and there, but like I don't know. He's playing really good football right now. If we're talking about the future and moving forward, I don't want Jared Goff as my quarterback. No way. So like. It depends on how you want to look at it, I guess.
Let me put some clarification on the screen so that everyone sees it. But again, if you're listening to my voice, this is a tier list for NFC quarterbacks with the idea that you have to win the Super Bowl with them tomorrow.
Right. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I actually think it's pretty good. I hear what you're saying about Baker, and I know his resume and his career hasn't been great, and I know he's on his fifth team and whatnot, but yeah, dude, that kid's a damn good quarterback. When he was on the Rams, he played one game, he had like 80% completion percentage. I believe he set a record for that. Just going in one game as a backup, and like the kid can ball. Stafford's at the end of his career, but same thing, dude. The Rams traded Stafford away so they could win one. And he's still made the playoffs this year, even on a team that we didn't think was going to compete. Now, Jared Goff might have a lot going well around him. However, I can't deny that he's playing some damn good football. But then it makes me look at a guy like Sam Darnold. Why aren't we making the same case for him? It's like, okay, I know his resume is not good and everything like that. He played some damn good football this year, though.
He did. He played great football.
So, I don't know. Bob Swede, where's Mahomes? This is NFC only.
Thanks, Paul. Tried to beat you to the punch here with the comment on the screen, but Nick, I don't know. I know you said you're a little bit short on time. If you've got to step away, that's totally fine. Do you have any quarrels with this chart? I don't know if we want to go nitty gritty and sort them. I don't know if this helps anyone, left to right, better to worse.
No, I think it looks good.
PJ says Murray, Smith, Love, and Darnold all played better than Caleb this year, which suggests they could win a Super Bowl over Caleb. But then we get into the hypotheticals. Caleb Williams avoided the most sacks in the NFL, twice as much as anyone else, and his offensive line, he played several games this year where the Chicago Bears started a practice squad offensive lineman. I would say that there were multiple games where the third string offensive linemen, 3 of those 5 were on the field for the Chicago Bears. So again, setting up your rookie quarterback for obvious failure. So again,
And PJ, we are talking about one game.
PJ, Caleb Williams on Philadelphia tomorrow. That's, I guess, the barometer, right? Could say all these guys on the Eagles. What?
Eagles by 30 if Caleb plays for the Eagles.
Yeah. I mean that's the argument here, right? Sam Darnold played well. He played a lot better. But what happened when it mattered? Went into Detroit, shit his pants.
Yeah.
Went to Arizona in a really shitty situation where his opponent, one of the best, I'll say the best head coach in the entire NFL, was able to galvanize his football team around a natural disaster that was happening in Los Angeles. Really unfair to the Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion. But again, Sam Darnold shit his pants and held the ball while doing it. He went from a guy who could have gotten paid $45-50 million a year to he'd be lucky to get $25 million a year. I think that Sam Darnold is the most middle of the pack quarterback that you could have in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because
to say Sam Darnold's better than Jordan Love.
And PJ says Caleb will lose because of lack of experience, his lack of throwing on time.
But imagine
Maybe.
Caleb Williams had the 12 months or whatever it was to prepare for the Super Bowl while playing the season on the Philadelphia Eagles.
So, I mean, are we doing this list based off hypotheticals, Carl, or are we doing it based off
The most
what?
hypothetical situation there is. We're trying to win the Super Bowl tomorrow, and I guess because it's the NFC, we're using the Philadelphia's Eagles football team as the barometer.
Right. So that's why I think this list is actually not stupid and doesn't suck, like Mr. Mayhem said, because in the A tier, you have the guy that has won the Super Bowl, right? He's the only guy, I believe, in this entire group that has a ring. Matt Stafford, right? Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff were in the NFC Championship last year. Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, they're in the Brock Purdy was in a Super Bowl last year. Jalen Hurts is in a Super Bowl this year. Jaden Daniels definitely overperformed in his rookie year. And I think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. I think that team has a lot of different issues that they're struggling with that's not necessarily offensive related. And then in the C tier, you have Caleb Williams, a lot of potential, a lot of upside. Bryce Young, a lot of potential, a lot of upside. Sam Darnold, who bounced around in his career but had a good year, and Jordan Love, who same thing, has potential and upside. In the D category, we have Kyler Murray, who's shown us that he can't get it done. Geno Smith, who's same thing. It's like it's late in his career. He's played all right, but I wouldn't want him for that. You're not going to win because of him. You know what I mean? Michael Penix,
Yeah.
and then Derek Carr, and the only one I could see is maybe making a case for Kirk Cousins, but he did get benched this year, so it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like this list. I think this looks pretty good to me right now, personally.
Yeah,
So.
even if you nitty gritty, like I just looked over it, like left is better than right. Okay, like I don't see any obvious issues with it. I think that Dak Prescott and Jaden Daniels are better than Jalen Hurts. I think that Caleb Williams right now is better than Bryce Young, Sam Darnold, and Jordan Love. I don't know. This list feels pretty solid to me.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's
all the players I
though.
mentioned could have the same argument if they played on the Eagles all year. They would be better. PJ's exact comments were Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Jordan Love, and Sam Darnold. I genuinely think that the Cardinals have a better skill group than the Chicago Bears, or at least, I don't know. It's hard for me to formulate that argument, but all I'm trying to say is Kyler Murray has everything that he would need as a first overall pick in the same situation, continuity, and he's just failing. I know he came off the ACL injury, but I genuinely feel that Kyler Murray is a whole tier worse than Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Sam Darnold, and Jordan Love.
There used to be a quarterback in the NFC that was on the S tier, in my opinion. And that was Aaron Rodgers, 100%. And so
I think that Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback that I've ever seen play football.
Carl,
in his day.
I could not agree with you more.
On his day in Green Bay, I think I've seen videos of this. So, do you remember when he got injured against the Bears?
Of course.
2018 Khalil Mack's debut.
Yes, I know.
And he came back and beat the Bears that game.
Yeah,
that was called Perk Rodgers. Like, Perk Rodgers is probably as good as it gets at the quarterback position.
Dude, he is one of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen. But he's come up short a lot, right? Like, he's only got one Super Bowl in his career. But I think what it comes down to for me is in the clutch, in the do or die moments. Oh, man, I think I'd rather have him over just about anybody else. I've seen him just win games at the very end with no hesitation either. So if we're applying that to this, then I think the list changes a lot. And I think that's where I like Caleb's potential, because even though we didn't get the wins statistically, I saw a handful of games in this kid's rookie year where he did his job at the very end of the games. Now, maybe the game itself wasn't great, but at the end is where he performed best. I think that's important for any quarterback. I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't. I mean, I think he performed way over expectation in the fourth quarter. He did way better than Justin Fields did, obviously. I mean, that's just a testament to how good the guy is.
And
he did not crack.
Right. Jaden Daniels has the same thing, man. That
Yeah,
guy
same
is just so smooth,
He's nails.
calm,
Nails on the floor.
collective. Right. It's so if we did this list based off different guidelines, I could see it moving differently. But if you're telling me one quarterback to win the Super Bowl tomorrow, I actually like this list. I do.
Perfect. We'll definitely get this out as like its own separate little video. So if you guys are in the comment section watching this back past tense, again, today's February 8th, literally 30 minutes before the 9th, which is the Super Bowl date. Let us know what you guys think of the list. I love doing these types of things, so maybe if we revisit this for the AFC side, might be a lot of fun. And then I'm sure we'll do some sort of all-encompassing list at some point on someone's channel regarding all these quarterbacks after the draft and everything has kind of shaken out. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't know, guys. Anything else that we want to kind of hammer out here? Anything else specific? Do we want to talk about the game that's being played tomorrow?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
You guys know we're about to see a three-peat, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask Nick, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? Super Bowl.
I think the Chiefs win if it's a one-score game in the fourth. If it's a one-score game in the fourth.
But you can see the Eagles blowing them out?
No, I don't say I would see the Eagles blowing them out. If the Eagles can get out to a 2-score lead in the third quarter, they have a really good chance at winning it. If you're within a one-score game, Pat Mahomes is going to win it. That's just, he's showing you he's going to do that.
The thing that scares me if I'm an Eagles fan, right? Again, got not issue at quarterback, but your quarterback is playing up to the talent, the great talent that you've acquired at wide receiver. But in the playoffs specifically, these Eagles have been getting these explosive, electric runs from Saquon Barkley. Is that going to run all the way through to the Super Bowl? And is Spagnuolo going to allow that to happen? Because you feel like the great ones, the Bill Belichick's, they just take away what you're good at. How are you going to allow Saquon Barkley to run for a 70, 80-yard touchdown tomorrow? I don't think you can do that.
You can't, but it also depends how Saquon gets these yards. Because if he can rip off, big runs, you're fucked. But if
right, because you have to stack the box, but I don't know. You've got to find a different way, man. And I'm sure Spagnuolo's got something that we're going to see something from Steve Spagnuolo's defense tomorrow that we simply have not seen this entire season. Might have to go back, in this Super Bowl run, look at what they've done in the playoffs when it mattered. If I was studying film, I would have studied every single thing that they did against McCaffrey last Super Bowl. Because that'd be a really good starting point. How do you shut down an elite running back? And they've got experience doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Falcons, I was at a family party. It was 28-3 at halftime. Everybody's cheering, happy. Oh, this one's in the bag. And I remember telling people, like, guys, they can do the same thing to the Falcons that the Falcons did to them in the second half. Right. And then it even went further than that. It was like 9 minutes in the third quarter. And I was sitting there going, like, man, if you're going to come back, you're about to start running out of time. And then there it was, sack, fumble, return. And it's like it just started. Dude, it was at the last possible moment, though, because you really even killed half of the third quarter without starting that comeback. But the whole time, even down 28-3, I was still pretty sure the Patriots were going to win it.
Right.
And so that's what you're going to get out of the Chiefs, man. You're going to get effort throughout consistently till the last second. You're going to need to play a full game. In the clutch, they're going to perform. Patrick Mahomes is going to, if he needs to make a play, he'll make a play. Will Jalen Hurts? If Jalen Hurts needs a first down, will he get a first down? That's why, dude, it's
Paulie, is the tush push involved? I'm just kidding.
It sucks that the Ravens lost, but there was a series of plays where it's like they ran Derrick Henry. Okay, you ready for that? Here we go. We're going to run Lamar, get a first. We're going to run Lamar, get a first down. We're going to run Lamar, get a first. Which one are you going to try and stop? And it was just like, dude, this is the type of attack and offense you need to be able to come at the Chiefs with, because if you're one-dimensional at all, like, dude, all they have is Saquon Barkley. You can, even if he gets his, you can still formulate a game plan that will defeat the Eagles for sure. And it's going to be, you got to play a full game. You got to be consistent. You got to be, you know, aggressive all throughout. But the Chiefs have been all that and more. Like, dude, it's so hard to stop them. I really think we're seeing the Michael Jordan of the NFL right now. I really do. And I love Tom Brady, and I love Tom Brady's career. And I'm watching Patrick Mahomes do things that might make him better than Tom Brady. As much as I don't like it, it's what I'm seeing. Like, dude, it just is what it is. The kid's great.
Tom Brady does not have a three-peat to his resume, right?
Correct.
He doesn't.
So that's the obvious like path here, right? If Patrick Mahomes gets this three-peat tomorrow, and then throughout the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career, which I hope he ends his career tomorrow in the sense that he retires. There's a rogue possibility. I know it will never happen, but if it does, I'm the first to say it. That said, throughout the entirety of Patrick Mahomes' career after he gets his three-peat, if he gets one more Super Bowl victory and one more regular season MVP, I do think that at that point he would be better than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already going to be in the conversation with the three-peat. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah, the only thing that
this team.
he's got against him is the fact that he lost to Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was 43 years old when he beat him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only thing you're going to have to lean on in that argument. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is on a trajectory like we've never seen before. Dude, I never thought in my lifetime I'd see another quarterback that was better than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And
You know what the funniest thing is about all this is, like, I feel terrible for Lamar and Josh and all those quarterbacks in the AFC because they're having Super Bowls literally stolen from them because of Mahomes. He's like,
it's Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is, dude. That's why we're seeing Tom Brady again. Like, it's what it is. Yeah, you are stealing it. Dude, it's the Michael Jordan of the NFL. That's why Charles Barkley doesn't have a ring. Like, it is what it is. It sucks for all the other guys, but yeah, no, it's just amazing what they've been able to do. So, like,
right.
With the Eagles, I mean, this is a team that, dude, wasn't Nick Sirianni on the hot seat at the beginning of the year?
He 100% was. People were calling for his head.
Well, I had made public comments about how he should be fired just with the way that he acts as a human, right? Like, I think that he ended up having some sort of comeback victory at home, and he essentially told Eagles fans to, die. So
yeah.
He's just a total idiot, right? Like, the fact of the matter is, he went to a Super Bowl with a group of an offensive and defensive coordinator. They immediately get poached. Nick Sirianni's Eagles are back in the Super Bowl with a different set of play callers, right? And I think the world of Vic Fangio. He's kind of getting into the stratosphere of Buddy Ryan, right? Like, he's as good as it gets as defensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator, he's the new head coach of the Saints. I don't know if you guys saw that. So
yeah, Colin Moore, yeah.
He's clearly talented as well. I loved him on the Cowboys. But so there is something to be said. I think Nick Sirianni is a better coach than we give him credit for.
Yes, he's a better coach than we give him credit for. But let's not give Howie Roseman his flowers for drafting as well as he has. He has had generational drafts these past, 5 years. It's been ridiculous.
Should I show the picture of Jalen Carter's car crash? Anyway, the way that he maneuvers the offseason, Howie Roseman is as good as it gets as a general manager as well. He is the reason why they're there. Obviously, a lot of people would have wanted Saquon Barkley. I wouldn't say that was the dumb decision for, It was a good decision regardless of how obvious maybe it was for them to acquire Saquon Barkley. I'm assuming he's the highest paid running back in the NFL currently, which is not a lot of money. It's a lot less money than Gabe Davis, or just about the same, right? So he's severely underpaid in that sense. But again, just the moves that they make, maybe they seem like no-brainers. I remember the Eagles, I think it was in 2023, last year. They had a terrible secondary. They got destroyed by Baker Mayfield's Buccaneers, right? They fixed it in one draft.
Yeah.
This general manager for the Eagles is as good as it gets.
Both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell, the other kid, Cooper DeJean, that's all it takes. Draft well.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, what we saw with the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Patrick Mahomes, it's like even when you attack him the right way, remember that pass he had when he was falling to the ground and still pegged the guy in the chest and they dropped it. It's just not going to be on him. At the end of the day, he is super clutch. he's going to make the right plays. And I just don't see that from the Eagles. I don't see that fight. I do see them being, if they're going to win, they're going to win with Saquon Barkley, period. And that's, yeah, go ahead, Nick.
No, is it bad to say that they're a quarterback away from being a dynasty, the Eagles?
No,
Dynasty?
that's what we're talking about. They have a quarterback who's competent, and they were forced to pay him, and now it's becoming every single day more of a team-friendly contract when you've got Jordan Love making $60 million a year. They were smart to re-sign Jalen Hurts the way that they did. They could boost his morale, all that stuff, but he's their handicap. He's their bottleneck. I talked about they have the best tackle tandem in the entire NFL. They have the best running back in the NFL. A.J. Brown, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Devontae Smith, he's not that good. He's arguably the best second receiver in the NFL, but for what he was as a top 10 pick, definitely not panning out. He's still good. We did a mock draft. We're talking about the Eagles getting a third wide receiver to replace Devontae Smith, but Goddard's a good tight end. They've got talent just up and down this entire offense, and the quarterback, you'd expect more if I'm an Eagles fan.
I mean, guys, there's guys like in the history of the NFL. There's guys like Trent Dilfer that won a Super Bowl. This was the only quarterback to ever lose his job in the offseason after winning a Super Bowl. Even the Ravens were like, I know we won with you, but we're going to move on.
Yeah, but now you're getting yourself in a weird argument with how,
there's
the 2000
Brad
Ravens defense was a top 3 defense all time.
I'm telling you, Brad Johnson's got a Super Bowl ring. I'm telling you, Eli Manning has as many rings as his brother. Eli Manning has as many rings as Peyton Manning. So this, it's a weird.
Thank you, Michael Strahan.
Thing. Yes, exactly. So it's a weird statistical thing, but
quarterback wins are
the
not
best tackles in the NFL. The best running
wins are not
NFL,
a quarterback stat. I'm sorry,
Carl. I'll still take the best quarterback in the NFL over those. And that's what you have with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So, I mean, that's why it's hard to argue against, because the kid's fucking great, man.
Absolutely. I don't know, gentlemen. It feels like the rubber's hitting the road here. Do we have any closing thoughts? Anything else we'd like to discuss, or are we ready to watch the Super Bowl tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm ready. I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I just wanted to mention, since we're getting towards the end of the show, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to Philadelphia and just Philadelphia fans in general, did you guys hear the story that one of their fans died?
Yeah.
Recently from jumping off one of those light poles? Dude, they have to go around. The city has to go around and put Crisco, butter pretty much, on the light poles all around the city, so their fans, when they try and climb them after the game, just slide down. And yeah, they finally had somebody who made it up to the top and died. And Bill Burr was part of a comedy show in Philadelphia where it was just like a handful of comics, and they were just booing one after the next off the stage. And he went up there, and 3 minutes in, he's getting booed, and he's just like, you know what, guys? Fuck you. I'm not leaving. In fact, fuck you, fuck your football team, fuck your hockey team, fuck your P. You all suck this. And dude, if you guys have not checked it out, it's definitely something to listen to. And yeah, I don't know. I just, as much as everybody hates the Chiefs, I think they hate them because they can't beat them. I appreciate great.
Everybody loved the Chiefs when they had the opportunity to knock off the Patriots, right? So it's either you die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, and they just don't feel like villains to me. I don't know. It's a damn good football team with a really damn good quarterback, and I just wish we would have never traded up for Trubisky. And we could have had him. And that's the worst part. And there was a comment, I think, by Cliff Victoria early on, or somebody no, it wasn't Cliff Victoria, it was somebody else, but they said this team is the definition of hindsight.
Literally.
And
what team?
The Bears.
The Bears.
Sure.
And I think that's a great way to sum it up, man. Yeah, we just keep missing, man. We keep missing. And it's got to stop at some point here. And I don't know. I think Caleb Williams does have a lot of potential, and I think he could take us very far. But at the end of the day, like, you need to be really damn good. Like, I look at the 49ers, dude, they got everything figured out, still couldn't beat the Chiefs. Like, you really, really, really need a lot to go out there and win against the Michael Jordan of the NFL right now. So yeah, I hope we get better, and it's going to take steps, but like, dude, even Caleb Williams on the Eagles, or any quarterback in the NFC side on the Eagles, I'm still picking Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, me personally. So
I don't know. Caleb Williams in a full season on that Philadelphia team, that would be that'd be a lot better football game tomorrow than what we're going to get. But Nick,
I don't think they lose a game.
Wow. No, I still think they find a way to lose, but
Just here for the rage bait.
We're masters at that, huh? Master baiters. Nick, any more closing thoughts from yourself?
No, I think we covered everything.
Well, I appreciate both of you guys hopping on. It's been a
thanks
fantastic episode.
one more comment.
Yeah.
It's something I've gone back. Yeah, I know Nick's laughing because I keep rambling.
No, that's okay.
It's something that me and David have gone back and forth about, like with Justin Fields coming here and us winning, 3 games his first year.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, dude, we're gonna just pretend this kid's a loser and like he forgot how to win. Like, no, this kid's won his whole career. Like, just because we had a season where we only won 3 games doesn't mean that he all of a sudden just can't win football games. But I gotta say, there is something to winning football games at the end, and dude, and Patrick Mahomes just has that. Dude, even if he was on the Panthers right now, he's gonna do better than Bryce Young, just because he's gonna perform better in the moments that matter, and he's gonna pull out those little sneaky victories here and there. Whereas, like, I don't know, it's a weird thing that doesn't come up on stat sheets at all or anything like that, but there is something to putting everything on your shoulders. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers, man, clutch situations, dude. I saw that guy threw 2 Hail Marys in a row and get them. Like, to go in overtime. I don't know. There's something to that, and I see that in Caleb. I do, and that's what makes me excited for the future for the Bears moving forward. I think that kid's capable.
You could definitely make the argument that, poor coaching took away how many victories from Caleb Williams? The Packers game at home, maybe the Vikings game at home,
yes,
definitely the Redskins game, and there was another one. I can't remember, but at least 3. I'm pretty sure when I made this argument, it's 4, right?
I mean, even the Cardinals game was somewhat competitive until you gave up a 60-yard run right before half.
Yeah, and
again, now it's just shot in the foot. You're like, I don't know. So it's interesting to me, but that's what I see out of this kid that I think makes him special. So,
Dobbsy, I don't know if that's where Paul was going regarding Justin Fields. I mean, if you're going to be watching for the rest of his career and hope for a Goff Darnold resurgence, I pray, Dobbsy, do not bet on it.
And Bob Swede said Rodgers only won 1 ring, and I think we all know as Bears fans that we all feel like they probably did him wrong. Like, the Packers should have had more Super Bowls.
They only won 1 Super Bowl with Brett Favre. Does that mean Brett Favre wasn't the greatest gunslinger that we've seen in his generation? I mean, just because wins are not a quarterback stat.
Dude, and Rodgers was the most sacked quarterback that year. They had more guys injured than the Lions did this year. His head coach was Mike McCarthy. His offensive coordinator was Joe Philbin. Like, he got that ring against all odds. But that's why he only got 1, because he was against a lot of odds throughout his career, I felt like. They didn't.
But that offense was good that year, and they had them playing in the Super Bowl. No, Jordy Nelson's a fine receiver. They had Ryan Grant that year?
How was he on the Raiders, Carl?
It doesn't matter. He still had the rapport, and that connection was good.
Deion Branch was good on the Patriots, went off, sucked, came back to the Patriots, and was good again. It wasn't Deion Branch. It was Tom Brady. Julian Edelman, 7th-round pick. It was Tom Brady. Like, I get Rodgers stepped into a decent situation, but, like, I truly feel they won purely because of him. And, like, with
Rodgers
quarterbacks like that, you're going to get at least 1. So you always hear this conversation like, oh, what if Patrick Mahomes was on the Bears?
Burrow.
I guarantee you, if Patrick Mahomes was on the Bears, we'd get 1. We wouldn't get a 3-peat, We would get at least one though, because that kid is that damn good. I don't know, just my
I don't
opinion.
know. I think we would have ruined him, but that's just my
Yeah, me too.
Possibly.
And the argument, Paul, I don't want you to go back ever again and say, we should have drafted Mahomes instead of Trubisky. Because the fact of the matter is that Trubisky was viewed as he was viewed by many to be the top
He was the
quarterback
number one
prospect,
quarterback.
and he was the safest option. I strongly dislike the way
Deshaun
that they
Watson
acquired
was the
him.
safest.
That was the argument, was Trubisky or Watson. And when you go back and you make that discussion, that's what you have to have. If you watch the lovely guest who I cannot think of their name right now, we've had on BCP, he ranted on this. I'm gonna have to figure that out before we go live or go off here. Cause
Yeah, I feel bad keeping Nick around.
No, you guys are good.
hold on a second. I can't. I'm really bad with names right
Dude,
now. I'm at the end of this.
I've been on this train for a while now. Like, even when it comes to ownership, and we talked about ownership and the amount of blame or whatever that goes towards ownership, dude, Jim Irsay is crazy. He's
Yeah,
a
not having
bad
Chris Ballard
owner.
this year is insane.
However, when he had Peyton Manning there, they were
Smartest
making
guy
the
ever.
playoffs every year. So, like, does
And luck.
the bat right? Dude, the second they got rid of Peyton Manning, what was the record? 1-15.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not that they got rid of him. He got injured, right?
Injured.
So
Broke his neck.
yeah,
It's to show you though how much he was covering up, because the year before he got injured, they were a playoff team. Like, dude, it's a lot of it can fall on the quarterback, and the quarterback can, make everybody else look good for sure. It helps to have everything around him. Dude, I think Aaron Rodgers is the same thing. Like, dude, he carried a lot, and especially late in his career, the 2 MVPs and everything like that. It's special to have a quarterback like that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see that out of many quarterbacks nowadays. And that might be due to the rule changes and everything like that, and the amount that you're asking them to do. But I see it in Patrick Mahomes for sure. Jaden Daniels, like I said, it's that clutch ability. It's the ability to perform at the end of the games that kind of sticks out to me a lot. And like, that's why Eli Manning has as many rings as Peyton does.
because of Michael
shitty as
Strahan. You're right.
performance- No, it's
Justin
shitty as
Tuck,
what performance as
Justin
Eli had
Tuck,
throughout his
fringe
career.
Hall of Famer.
Dude, it comes down
Antonio
to two
Pierce,
throws.
fringe Hall of Fame linebacker.
It comes down to 2 throws.
I'm just
David
giving you a hard
Tyree,
time at this point.
David Tyree, Mario Manningham. I mean, those were
What
the
do
2
you know about the great Mario Manningham out of the University of Michigan, by the way?
sucked, but he
You don't
made a
know
clutch
anything about
throw
Mario
when
Manningham.
when he had to make the throw, and when Mario Manningham had to make the catch, it happened. And so, dude, if you just perform in the clutch, it matters so much as far as, I don't know, getting a ring and everything like that. Like, so yeah,
I know all about rings. I don't know, Naj. Naj, I think you're new to the chat. I'm giving you a hard time, man. Michigan, they're the national champion. They've got the ring, so I know all about rings, Paulie. Naj, he does not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now
Naj is my guy, though.
I'm just rage baiting to like the
I love Naj.
highest degree. Yeah, Naj, you're fantastic, buddy. I appreciate you being here, man. Nick, you want to send us off? Any closing thoughts from yourself? Are you going to contractually agree to do this next Saturday as well?
Trying to think if I have anything going on. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully,
Yeah.
should be able to-
Call your boss. Call your
Nick,
boss right
You
now,
got
live on
something
camera,
going
and
on
tell
every
him.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I know.
We
busy
know.
life.
We know.
It's a busy life. But yeah, no, I'll try to be back for sure. No, this was a lot of fun. And I had a great time. Always do.
Appreciate it,
Nick,
man.
if you're
Appreciate
not
it.
familiar, we've given Carl a nickname on Bearski Film. It's called Crack Pipe Carl. Like, I need to make a little
I like that.
image of him with a crack pipe in it. Because sometimes here and there, man, Carl's a little out there, but I love it, man.
No, he is.
love any content I get to do with
I
you,
like
Carl.
stirring the pot. It's fun.
Yeah. And
Greg,
Nick,
Greg Bragg said this when he spent his, graciously spent his time on Bears Country Productions. He said that we are not experts. We are in the entertainment business.
That's right.
So if I'm just going to go cookie cutter and say all these boring things, you guys are just going to leave and not, there's no talk to it. But if I say something that I feel like is a fringe taboo topic about how maybe Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, you guys will dispute me and you'll get mad at me, and I could be wrong. I very well may be wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm just having fun, man. We're just having a fun conversation.
That's why I said I would have moved on from Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 9 last year. I would have.
If you're saying that Baker Mayfield and Marvin Harrison Jr. were playing on the same football team, then maybe we're talking about a Hall of Fame duo. Like,
takes more than that. Look at
Justice
Tom
for
Brady, Randy
MHJ.
Moss,
I'm gonna do a new
more than
hashtag
that.
on Twitter. Justice for MHJ. Get Marvin Harrison Jr. a freaking quarterback, Arizona. Hell, let's trade up for the Bears. What are the Cardinals drafting? Does anyone know? They're drafting after the Bears. I know that for sure.
Carl, I'd rather take a center over, what's his name? Marion Hampton.
Omarion Hampton, a.k.a.
Right.
Diet Walter Payton.
I
God,
would
I'm
rather
saying
take
that on a
center.
video that's
I'll
honoring
take a
Virginia
center
McCaskey.
at pick
I'm
39.
going to burn in hell. I'm going to burn in hell. I apologize for that.
It might make more of a difference, though. I don't know.
Did you guys see the tweet that I had yesterday? Here, this is where we're going to sign off. I know I sent
Carl,
it to...
I wanted to make
I
a
sent it to
weekly
Nick.
segment where I play that Mr. Hankey clip or whatever, but every week it's just a different tweet that you posted.
Yeah, you guys should follow me on Twitter. I'm great. I run the
it's
Thy&Smi podcast
fantastic.
Twitter account. Fantastic. It's very professional. It's a very professional channel.
So entertaining. Carl, I want you to take a picture.
No. Oh. Well, I have to see if I've got my choker available to me. Let me send you guys off with this, right? I'm surprised you didn't ask Taylor that, by the way. I'm not touching that subject anymore. So, thoughts. The caption, if you guys can't see it, says, POV, you traded the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft for your starting wide receiver, starting quarterback, and starting running back. What are your guys' thoughts?
Stupid.
I'm just flexing
Thank
the blue
you,
balls
Nick.
balls, and they were fantastic. These are so good. I might have one. To go to bed.
I worry about you some days, Carl. Let me say.
I worry about
Worry about
myself, and I'm glad I have people in my life that worry about me. That makes me feel very humbled. So thank you.
Jesus.
You need linemen, man. I don't know.
Yeah, Omarion Hampton is able to transcend a bad offensive line.
Is
I already have egg on my face when I'm saying that about Caleb Williams. I mean, it's very obvious you need to improve the offensive line. It's just, how does the board fall? Now, Nick, maybe you could send us off with this. The Bears draft Ashton Genty at 10th overall. Your immediate reaction is?
what did we do in free agency?
1. You pick 1. You could pick Trey Smith or something else, but 1.
Yeah, okay, I like it.
So now we have Trey Smith, Ashton Genty. Do you feel
yeah.
comfortable with the Bears starting, drafting another starting offensive lineman in the second round?
Tyler Booker.
Either a 39 or 41. I've got news for you, man. Tyler Booker is not making it out of the first round. He will not get past
No, I
the
wouldn't.
Texans.
I wouldn't go Genty only because this is a great draft for running backs.
No,
You
yeah,
can find the same
I
difference
think
in
every single Bears fan, like a legitimate, I don't want to say that. That's rude. I feel like a Bears fan who has had a very even keel analysis of the situation, they would come to the conclusion that drafting Ashton Genty at 10th overall would be reckless. Now,
choice.
if the Bears trade back, I hate to keep rehashing the same mock draft that we did. I did with Paulie. I think it was at last week or 2 weeks ago at this point, where the Bengals trade up from 17 to 10 to get the great Will Johnson to help them make the playoffs. But we would then at 17 potentially be able to get Ashton Genty after a trade down.
I don't think he falls towards.
He doesn't get past.
the
He
Cowboys.
doesn't get past 12, which that's why I'm trying to concoct this beautiful scenario, because I strongly feel that Ashton Genty on Jim Harbaugh's Chargers accounts for 2,000 all-purpose yards. So maybe the Chargers can really overpay us to go from 22 to 10. I would like that for the Bears.
What would an overpay look like?
We go back
Obviously,
from
they
10.
pick a second.
We go back from 10 to 22, and we either get 2 second-round picks or a second and like not a first next year. I don't know what it was. I have to see what they have as far as their draft capital. Let me see if I can figure that out very quickly for everyone. It doesn't tell me what else they have, though. God, Los Angeles Chargers, what are you guys doing? Wait a second, Nick. Is
Yep.
your dog near you right now?
Yeah, Rocky sleeping under
I
me.
think I can hear him snoring.
Yeah, he's loud.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome, man. I can't. Actually, here we go. Here we go. Oh, Chargers have number 22, number 55 in the second round, and number 86 in the third.
Yeah, they'd have to give us a second and a third, or a second next year.
Yeah, yeah. So it'd be like, do you want to play the long game? But that's what I'm hearing from folks, is that the picks between 20 and 60 are all the same quality.
Yeah, Dane Brugler's talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm essentially, I don't know. Paul, are you big into the Lord of the Rings?
Not big, but
So in the Lord of the Rings, there's this character named the Mouth of Sauron. He gets his head cut off in the third movie, but I'm the mouthpiece for Dane Brugler when it comes to the Chicago Bears content creation space. So I take what he says I take it and I think about it, and I appreciate his insight, but I'm rambling at this point, gentlemen. I mean, I don't know. Any last, I'm going to say, I have been saying this for like 30 minutes. Any final thoughts from you folks?
yeah, I have 3 more things now.
I can see it too.
Paul,
Yeah, don't ask me that. Don't ask me that, Carl.
Paul, you should play that AI clip that you sent me an email of.
Which
The
one are you
AI voiceover regarding taking a picture.
Yeah, are we streaming to multiple platforms here tonight? I don't know if I want to bring everybody down at the same time. I'm willing to go down alone as the captain of the ship, but not as the
I'm gonna
captain
see
of a fleet. That would be bad. Shorty might never talk to me again. So
No, that's fine. He authorized this. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my god, I need to play that clip for Nick before we go. But gentlemen,
Yeah.
I'm pulling the plug. It's been fantastic. About 2.5 hours. What's the Vegas over/under odds that Ryan Poles drafts a Tennessee Volunteer? It's probably pretty low. We'll just acquire Trey Smith in free agency. Guys, if you enjoyed watching, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to either of the channels. Again, we are simulcasting to 3 channels: Bears Country Productions, Thy&Smi, and Bearski Film. If you guys are not subscribed, please consider. Leave a like rating if you enjoyed. Gentlemen, until next time, and Nick, as we said, contractually next Saturday, we will see you at that time.
Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Gentlemen, bear down.
Bear down, boys.